think it is Wednesday. And we got a packed house here today. Looking forward to this show. Of course, Eddie Bader is here. How you doing today, Eddie?
Pretty good. How you doing, boss?
I'm all right. And joining us, he's going to be here all day. Let's say guest hosting alongside us. We have Andrew Sorrell, auditor for the great state of Alabama. How you doing today?
Man, excited to be here with you and Eddie again.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun day.
Yeah, it should be a good one. And as we always do on Wednesdays, let's kick things off with Jeff Poor, host of the Jeff Poor Show there, 106.5 FM in the Mobile, Fairhope area. And, of course, he's also editor-in-chief at 1819news.com. Jeff, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm living the dream, Joey. How about you?
Living the dream is one word for it, and I don't even know where to begin today, but this one might be fun. I'm seeing the latest ratings coming out for CNN. I think they're now losing to the Food Network.
Saw that.
I think their prime time is only getting like 300,000 something, which is lower than a lot of mid-tier YouTube channels. How do you feel just seeing the utter collapse of CNN?
I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses here. It is a little bit of a cheap shot, but they would do this to Fox, but it is Christmas in December. And typically, historically, cable news ratings do go down during these times. But, yeah, this is definitely a reaction to November. And the people who would tune this garbage in are tuning it out because they don't want to be confronted with the reality of the world right now. But I also, you and I were talking about this on my show earlier. The marketplace is going to change in the wake of this election because this conventional wisdom they operated off and the way they perceived the world to be and the way they sold advertising, that you want to associate your brand with a left of center entity like CNN or MSNBC because the world is going left of center. And you better get on the wagon here. You're going to get left behind. And then come to find out, actually, that's not true. The world is not as left of center, or the country, at least, is not as left of center as you told us it was. And I think you're seeing a correction come into place. I think you're seeing the divestment of a lot of these mainstream media outlets. Washington Post and LA Times knew the outcome of this election. They told their editorial board to back off their left-wing fixations, and the marketplace is finally going to prevail here at some degree.
Now, a few weeks back, I forgot to ask you about this, but I got this from you sharing it on the X platform. Axios had a whole write-up of winners and losers in media after the 2024 election, and near the bottom of the article, they got into how talk radio, conservative talk radio, and sites like Breitbart, I don't know if you know those folks, Jeff, they don't have the same steam that they once did, and I kind of just laughed at that. I think sort of in a way conservative talk radio and sites like Breitbart were ahead of the curve in many ways, but do you think that's just wishful thinking on the part of Axios and Van de Heye behind it?
Yeah, I don't think he really understands the world. I mean, Van de Heye, his office in Roslyn, just across the Potomac there in Washington, D.C., dictating about what the sentiment of the world is when it comes to talk radio Breitbart is just not true. I mean, he operates in a bubble. And, you know, I remember in 2017 when Trump won and everybody made a big deal about Breitbart and the Breitbartification, and then they came after us as some kind of alt-right haven, which turned out not to be true either. And, you know, these guys don't really know what they're talking about. They got the election wrong and they get media wrong. I think one thing I'd say about the talk radio analysis, I do think podcasts are kind of making inroads. And I know we're both in this business, Joey, but, yeah. I mean, and the departure of Rush Limbaugh, I mean, that was a game changer. I do think there's something to be said about that.
Though I think talk radio hosts, especially locally, can still make quite a difference. And I'm looking at a story now. It looks like the new Senate pro tem here for the great state of Alabama, Garland Gudger, has matched Dale Jackson's $1,000 reward to prove that Coleman is a sundown town. And AL.com's all tied up in this, where it's one thing for somebody on TikTok to talk about an urban myth, but for AL.com to be throwing this out there and amplifying it, I think conservative media here locally can still drive the car and is driving the car more than ever before in this state.
I absolutely agree with that. But that's where talk radio has to find its place. That's its lane right now, I think, because you can hyper localize radio in ways maybe you can't with a podcast. A podcast is more of a broad appeal. Radio hits a certain area, unless you're on like a satellite radio or something, or syndicated. But radio, like what you and I do, is where you really make the change. But back to AL.com in this whole like Joey, you grew up in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear stories about Coleman, Alabama when you were growing up? I always did, and it wasn't until I was like probably in my mid-teens when I actually went there and spent some time there that I realized, wow, this place isn't at all what I've been told it was for years.
Yeah, I've heard of so-called sundown towns, but it always was more like that's a thing in the past. I mean, of course, there are places here in Montgomery you don't want to go after midnight, or in many parts of this state and this country. So, yeah, I always thought it was sort of that throwaway urban myth. Maybe it was so decades and decades ago, but I just find it, why echo this now? Eddie found a TikTok video of a black gentleman who went to the Christmas market. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, it's dark and I'm here. And look at this food I just bought, this tower of flavor that I'm about to bite into. So it's like, why even go here, AL.com? Like, why even echo this urban?
That's just what that's what they do. They're always looking for clickbait that's derogatory toward the state because it's like a more sinister version of Florida Man that this drives clicks. And if we can denigrate the rednecks in Alabama, that's where we're going to get our clicks. And so, hey, that's what AL.com does. That's all it is now. It's not a website for people in Alabama. It's for people outside of Alabama that want to read about the state of Alabama in the worst possible ways. Thank you, AL.com. But I'll say this. I think, like, that urban myth has been around for so long. One of my frustrations was 2019, I tried to chase this story down, and no one wanted to talk about it. And it always bothered me that the city elders in Coleman, Alabama, never did more to dispel this mythology because it turns out it is a myth. And I'm glad to see like Gudger kind of step up here and say, yeah, if you got any proof of this, show it. But like I've been hearing this my entire life, and you can't find it. And it's funny how this is really stuck. I'll tell you, like, what it really caught my attention when Doug Jones won the senatorial election in 2017. He brought in because the Democrat establishment in Alabama is very mediocre. It sucks. Okay, there's no good consultants. All of that is terrible. He brought in out-of-state people who I got to know fairly well during that election and during the first opening days of Senator Jones' time in D.C. And they totally believed this Coleman stuff.
Wow.
Doug Jones did an event in Coleman, and they thought they were on guard. They were terrified of what might happen to some of their black African-American compadres by going like this stuff. We kind of laugh it off and oh, it's just an urban legend. That's silly. That's nonsense. But the people believe this stuff, and it sticks with them. And it's because of the way the state is portrayed in the worst possible way. That stuff like that is, in theory to them, it's plausible that this is really still going on in the state. It is a disservice by these bastards that run AL.com, the billionaires that bought AL.com. Scott Butcher had a rant about this.
Yeah.
But he was absolutely spot on when he said this. He's like, look, this is what you guys do. You set fires and you cause these problems, and it's made it very difficult for Alabama to shed a reputation that is totally false.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, too, where I think, conservative talk hosts in the state would be like, finally they're getting called out on this. And it's part of the larger shift that I think, say, even nationally or internationally, when you look at the growth of, say, the X platform, it's no longer, say, New York City that's driving the car in terms of news and entertainment and media. It's shifted to the South, not quite to Alabama, but it's definitely shifted to Nashville, to Austin, Texas, to Florida. And this is, I think, it's just a healthy thing where folks are starting to realize no, we don't have to lean on these same old stereotypes. And as more money and more people, especially coming into the northern part of the state, it's just about time. And I mean, for those who don't know, who owns AL.com? Who are these people?
It is now owned by a media conglomerate called Newhouse Publications. They are Manhattan or either New Jersey, somewhere in that vicinity based. They're not in Alabama, but they about 15 years ago bought up a bunch of media properties. It turned out to be not a very smart investment, but what they had to do, they bought up the newspapers, and now you don't have these 3 state newspapers, Huntsville Times, Birmingham News, or the Mobile Press Register, and they just formed this AL.com website, and that's what it is now. It is all web-based. It is but it's owned by a group, and I'm telling you, AL.com is dining off the legacy of those 3 papers, and it shouldn't, but it's just an easy web address that people put in, and people kind of just associate it with what's going on in this state.
Well, we just need to keep chipping away. I think things are changing, like we said earlier. Before I let you go, I guess we talked about this, Eddie and I did a little yesterday, but the new Alabama State House is 6 months behind schedule, or maybe 4 months or 5. I think that's kind of what David Bronner said, but are we surprised it's behind schedule, and do we know if it's over budget yet?
Oh, it'll be over budget, but no, I mean, Bronner is going to blame Donald Trump and his tariffs or something like that somehow because he's a left-wing douchebag. But the truth is, like, the way we were told that we had to have RSA do it, we had to have this outside entity that the state can't take care of its own legislative branch and an essential function of government, was because we had to avoid these delays and these cost overruns. They could do it cheaper, faster, better than the state of Alabama could. Well, it may be true. It turns out early on this hasn't been the case. So that's sort of like where we are.
Well, I know I've been to the old State House. It is pretty bad. But it's just a sign of, like, okay, we know, the elected folks know if we have to do this, it's going to be a mess. Just give it to Bronner. But you're right. This is what a wonderful state. As much as changing the media culture, changing the political culture here in Montgomery, especially where the big money is, seems like quite a task. But I guess we're going to keep at it.
Jeff, Andrew here.
Let's keep at it, and Andrew.
Jeff, I was just going to say, I read this a little bit. I do remember them saying, "Oh, RSA will get it done. It'll be on time. It'll be under budget. They'll be able to do it better than the government would do it." I read this a little differently. I think this was a reaction to when the state senate came up with a plan to build a new state house with the COVID relief money, and there was such big public outcry and backlash against that. I think this time they said, "We're not doing it. It's RSA. It's RSA." That's how I read this going down.
Yeah, you're probably right. They're passing the culpability here, like, oh, look at these lawmakers building themselves the Taj Mahal. And what poisoned the well was Governor Ivey when she came out with her statement that they want to use your COVID money to build a big Taj Mahal state house, and I'm not going to allow that to happen, not on my watch. And she used that to get her way, and you were there, Andrew.
Well, I remember
they took that. Del Marsh got hung out to dry. Remember, he had floated the idea in a private meeting, and she used it publicly to get control of the CARES Act money and use it how she saw fit without any pushback from the Alabama legislature.
Well, you're exactly right about that. And I remember in the House, we were just fielding the phone calls, and we were like, "It wasn't us. It was the Senate. It was the Senate."
Goodness gracious. Again, what a beautiful state we have. But it'll be nice, I guess. We'll have a green space once the new place is built, and they'll tear down the other place, and the governor can take Missy for a walk or something.
No. It's going to be like a homeless encampment, I'm sure. It's going to be fantastic.
Can we get more parking? That's what we actually need.
Yeah. Well,
I'll have fun with that.
Well, I always appreciate the time, Jeff. If folks want to check out what you're talking about, write about, thinking about, how can they do so?
X.com/Jeff_Poor. That's where you can find me.
Well, appreciate it. We'll do it again soon. Thanks, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
Again, folks, that is Jeff Poor, editor-in-chief at 1819 News and host of his own radio show there in the southern part of the state. What do you make of this, Andrew, of this whole sundown town thing? Like, it does seem like they're constantly pressing urban myths that maybe were true generations ago. But it's like, that is not the Alabama I know.
They want so bad for Alabama to be racist. They just can't contain themselves. And they picked on the wrong city because, first of all, it's not true. And we've seen that because there's a $2,000 reward if anybody can produce a picture of it. And there's not going to be a picture produced. And second, you attack the new pro tem's home city.
Right.
You also attacked the home city of Katie Britt's husband, Wesley. And there's going to be so many people coming to the defense of Coleman, Alabama. I love Coleman, Alabama. Remember, that's where the Trump rally was.
Yeah, you're right.
And Trump loves Coleman, Alabama. And Coleman voted 88% for Donald Trump, which I guess that's proof in the Democrats' mind that they are racist right there.
Right. Well, why did they have to keep this going, though? I guess it plays into their own mythology.
Because it does exactly what we're doing right here. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It gets some clicks. It gets talked about.
Yeah, it gets talked about, but it's also like, I think it's hurting them more and more the longer they continue down this road. Like the incredibility in terms of everyday people, they're like, what are you even talking about?
Well, it's like the boy who cried wolf. You can't cry racism every time you turn around. Nobody believes it anymore. I don't think, even the people reading the article on AL.com, I don't think they believe it anymore either.
Right. Well, eventually, I think AL.com will be unseated.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie, you've been hearing about this for a while, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing new. Go outside the state, and like Andrew said, people want to think Alabama's the most racist place in the world. But working at Hyundai, we brought in the world, and they all came in here and said, wow, everybody here's so nice. It's not at all what we were told to expect.
Yeah, and even when things get inflamed, say here in Montgomery, you'll go down to a city council meeting, and you'll think it's like going to be a real tense situation, and there are moments that can be tense. But generally speaking, without fail, town hall, city council meeting, somebody usually cracks a joke. Everybody's like, oh, great to see it. Like, there's not much ill will that I often sense, unless it's like a truly personal beef between somebody speaking. You don't often see people at each other's throats. And it's just a media creation in order to get clicks. I think you're right about that, Andrew. Now, there's so much else we could discuss today. Nationally, the mystery of the drones over New Jersey continues. The congressman who once was a Democrat became a Republican during the Trump era, Jeff Van Drew. He went on Fox, we got the clip, we'll play it a little later, saying that he has a very credible source that claims these are Iranian drones, and that they have some mothership off the coast and they're testing things out over New Jersey.
This is reminiscent of the Chinese spy balloon.
Yeah. Right.
Why is it when we have a Democrat in the presidency, we have stuff flying over our country all the time?
It's just... it's entertaining. It's interesting. Like, I would like to know what these things are. And it'd be one thing if I was actually living in New Jersey, what the actual is going on above our heads right now. But this is the world we're heading into. Drones, Eddie knows better than anybody else. Drones are becoming cheaper. Drones are becoming more advanced. And I mean, and you recommend to folks, don't shoot down the drone?
You can do what you want, but there's federal law against it, and you'll go to jail.
There's a federal law against shooting down a drone over your property.
It's an aircraft. You can't take a shot at it without getting in trouble if somebody knows.
Yeah, but it's an aircraft that can get like right in front of you on your porch.
Oh,
man, like that just...
I mean, I agree with you. Now, granted, people handle things differently. But yeah, it's illegal to do that.
You need like a miniature EMP device to take it down or something that's harder to trace.
Or literally a fishing net will do the same thing. I mean, it's just a limb. I mean, but I know they're annoying, and there are, because it's a hobby deal, it could be a 50-year-old man or it could be a 12-year-old kid flying that drone. And they're registered and things like that, but there's so many of them that there's just so many on the market.
Or it could be a 50-year-old in Iran.
It very well could be. It very well could be. As far as the things over New Jersey, though, again,
they said
we
they're
have
car
other things
size.
that fly at night.
Oh my goodness!
They can't go figure that out. You can't send up a helicopter. There's
something not being.
They're peeing on your leg and they're telling you it's raining, and that's not what's happening at all.
Yeah, they're like car size. They don't have the normal red-green lights you would see on an airliner. And this area in New Jersey said we're used to planes because we're right on track to go into Newark Airport. So they're car size. You don't really have the same lighting. People are claiming they're seeing these things form up in a V formation, like it's the Mighty Ducks or something. And I don't know. It's one of those like, what the heck is going on? And those are always the stories that I think grip everybody's imagination.
Sure. But I think it's done that way on purpose, man. There's nothing that's going to fly over your house that the government honestly doesn't know what it is.
And we already have all the satellites in the sky. I mean,
You have radar, you have everything. If they really wanted to know, if they were really concerned about it, it would happen one time and that would be it.
Well, and again, there's so much we can get to today. Caitlin Clark, who I guess is famous for her basketball playing,
She's got skills.
She's going to be named like Athlete of the Year by some publication. Was it Time Magazine or something?
Yeah.
And she's apologizing for her white privilege.
oh no.
And it's like, well, okay.
Right.
Are we still? I thought it was 2024, not like 2019, 2020. What are we
I'm
doing
so
here?
tired of athletes getting political. You can't
Yep.
enjoy the games anymore.
Right.
It's like, man, when the NFL about finished me off with all the kneeling for the national anthem and all that, and I don't know. I'm tired of it.
And also, Caitlin Clark, she's a great player. And, like, she does take some great shots. She was great watching in the college tournament. But she's such a creation of the corporate media, of the media, sports media, beyond her actual abilities on the court.
Right.
She became this, like, poster gal. It's like, you know, they're always looking for the next Michael Jordan in any sport. And it's, you know, why don't you just let somebody be Michael Jordan and then you make them the poster child? Instead, they're always looking for the next new thing, and it's like, well, and a lot of people don't really like watching women's basketball.
Well, that's
so
what
how
it's
can we-
about. That's exactly what this is about. It's like they're going to guilt us into watching her, whether we want to watch female basketball or not. They're going to cover it until we have to watch her.
But
Well-
now, honestly, her coming onto the scene, it has helped, you know, attendance, but mainly around any school or any game she plays, not other. So
Right.
if you're not, if you're not wanting to go see her, then you're maybe 10 people that have gone to these other games. You look at them, there's just nothing but empty seats. So how long are they going to expect us to pay for a sport that nobody really cares
Well,
about
that's
seeing?
true. It's kind of like you remember the Tiger Woods effect. You know, when Tiger was
Thank you.
playing golf tournaments, everybody watched golf. And
Yep.
when Tiger's injured or he's getting older or
Yep.
he's driving his car off a cliff or whatever it was he was doing, nobody was watching.
Nobody cared.
And I did the same way. I only watched the tournaments
For
What was it
Tiger.
About, yeah, I watched for Tiger. It was about 4 years ago or so when Tiger had that surprise win at the Masters,
Yep.
about 2019 or 20, somewhere in that era. I watched that
Yeah.
because it was Tiger playing.
Yeah, and again, if you're in the sports media or you're a big athletic association and you want eyeballs so you can make money, you're always looking for that next person.
Yeah.
But it has to be organic. I was making this point on Jeff's show earlier this morning. Like, if you want to do something, it can't be from the top down anymore. Very rarely does that work. It has to be sort of an organic thing that captures the public imagination, and then you run with it. But they continue, I think, to be stuck in old ways like we're in the 90s or the early aughts.
Oh, I will go on YouTube and I will watch clips of Tiger Woods swinging, winning tournaments, his epic chip-in shot at the Masters, and 97, all that. I'll watch all that. You know what I won't watch is Tiger Woods talking about politics because I don't care.
Right.
The fact that you can hit a ball at a hole at a distance of 300 yards.
Right. That's my interest in you.
Right. That's
it.
exactly, that's where it stops. And I don't care what Caitlin Clark's interest in politics is. And I know Tom Brady is a Republican and a Trump supporter, but to be frank, I don't really care about Tom Brady's
Thank
opinion on politics
Right.
either. I just want to watch him throw a football.
Right.
I wish he'd unretire one more time. Can he pull a Brett Favre for me? 'Cause I miss watching Tom Brady.
Yeah, whatever happened to the Dolly Parton philosophy, where I will not people try to drag you into political discussions. I will not go there. I have my opinion. I will not say it publicly.
I'll make one exception for a athlete turned politician that I will listen to, and that is Tommy Tuberville.
Oh,
Because
fair
he made a clean break. It's like,
He sure
I'm not
did.
doing this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm in politics now. Let me talk about politics to you.
Even though
Yeah.
we keep begging him to come back and coach just, part-time. Please. We need it.
Yeah, can you be a senator
Please.
and the head coach of
Please.
the Auburn football Tigers? Yeah, all that stuff. So actually, Tuberville, it's the top story, I believe, at 1819news.com right now. Tuberville predicts NCAA drops football with 60-team mega conference for teams like Alabama, Auburn. Huh.
Interesting.
This is amid a push to reform the NCAA's name, image, and likeness rules. Tuberville is predicting a major shift in college athletics in the near future. According to Tuberville, the NCAA doesn't want any part of the NIL. He also suggested adding 3-year contracts to those paid for playing to keep players from transferring every season just for more money. Saying there's a lot to work on. The one thing I think we can do is contracts. Tuberville told Jeff Poore, if you're going to make money and you're going to pay money, get into like 3-year contracts like they do in the NFL, and you've got to uphold the contract.
Yep.
I think that's about right. And then this one aspect of the NCAA getting out of college football could lead to two separate conferences, one with 60 of the major schools like in-state Alabama or Auburn, and another with 60 to 100, including the likes of UAB, South Alabama, Troy, Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Sanford, Jacksonville State. That's fascinating. Like, it does seem the more this change has happened to college football, it might change so much it's not recognizable in a year.
The consolidation in the conferences was happening before NIL, and that's only exacerbated it. And I agree with Tuberville. I'm tired of these players coming. It's like you hardly learn their names, and then they're like, "Oh, I get a 50,000 more if I go to Texas." Okay, like why did we? I have no idea why.
Well, and
why
you can't blame an 18-year-old for going, "Wow, wait a minute, this will give me more money to go elsewhere."
Well, of course not. And I do feel bad for the pro throws of the world that are superstars in college and then get injured and they never make. But you can buy insurance, and a lot of them do. They buy insurance on themselves. And in case they get injured and they don't make it to the NFL or whatever.
I think you do like Doug Flutie, go to the CFL.
Yeah, well, that's true.
He did.
Didn't Herschel Walker do that for a time?
I think for a little bit too, yeah.
I think Pro Throw ended up like working as a bank teller or something.
Oh, man. And that was and I've been, watching more lately, and it's like they do not show bad injuries anymore.
No.
But I think one of the last ones was Pro Throw. I remember that.
And they said, okay, we got to do something else.
Yeah, because it was so freak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and they kept showing it.
I know. And I mean, there's part of me that does long for the days of like a Ronnie Lott or, as a Buccaneers fan, John Lynch, like where you might die on the football field. This is how hard these guys hit. This is how the game is played. But I don't know how I feel about if I was a family member, say, of a quarterback in the NFL, I'd probably want them protected. They're one of the most vulnerable, but it also weighs on me like, well, that's not how football was. It's not the game. They're doing the same thing to baseball. They're changing stuff so much. It's like, at what point does it stop having that continuity?
Well, I'll tell you what bothers me more than NIL is the new stupid kickoff rules in NFL.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
What in the world is that?
Yes.
Explain it to me, please. It makes no sense whatsoever.
How about, it's like, what's the new rule? Is it college or NFL where if you're going to kick it onside, you have to tell the opposing team? What is that?
Right.
I'm waiting for him to just go rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
The element of surprise is key to an onside kick half the time. Yeah, it again, it's happening in baseball. Like, you're seeing all these changes that you got to wonder, okay, is this the same sport we were watching in the 80s or the 90s? Everything's a change, I suppose. And I appreciate Tuberville's perspective. It would be nice if the feds could get something a little more rock solid with NIL rules, but it seems like as much as him and Senator Manchin have been working on it, nothing has come of it yet. Maybe with a Republican majority, we'll see some good things. Got to hit a break here. First, this part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services, and they're at Pest Pro. Ashley and that great team are ready to help you out with any and all of your pest control needs. Could be you have a rush job you want to get done before the in-laws show up for Christmas.
Oh, yeah, they're coming.
So you don't want that mother-in-law of yours being like, there are ants in the kitchen.
No.
I saw a cockroach back in the guest room. No, that's just going to ruin everybody's time. But maybe you're just looking for an everyday pest control company that you can trust, that's local, so you know your money's staying in the local community. That is Pest Pro. Really skilled professionals and just great, easy to work with people. Call them up today at 265-9990. That's 265-9990. Or you can always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services, on the Book of Faces. What do you want to know? Call a pro. That's Pest Pro Services. And be sure to tell them that Joey and Eddie, those fellows on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group with your updated market report. So far this year through MLS, there have been over 4,000 closings in the river region. Sellers have been getting on the average of over 97% of the listed price. In this ever-changing real estate market, I've seen more price reductions on listings over the last 3 months than I've seen in years. It's time to act for a buyer. So we have a greater supply of homes for people to see before they buy. We have an average price of $261,000 in our area. Local mortgage companies have come up with really attractive plans for first-home homebuyers, such as down payment assistance, lender credits to help on the closing costs, and buy-down plans to buy down the starting rate for borrowers. Investing in yourself and your community is life-changing for first-home homebuyers. You need a buyer agent to represent your interest and give you great advice. For all this information, call Bo Goodson at the Goodson Group at 221-2883 or 551-0225.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man. Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Erdit. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, MediShare members like it. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And MediShare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before December 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee. So you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is December 15th. So call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number. 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Well, hi, everybody. Another big temperature setback today. Rather brisk, windy, cold, high temperature only up to about 51. It'll seem colder than that with wind gusts as high as 25 miles per hour. Clear, cold, we'll head down to about 29 for the overnight low temperature tonight. Temperatures still well below normal tomorrow with a high up to about 53. There will be another freeze on Thursday night, and then Friday not quite as cool with a high temperature up to about 59. Still dry with a sun and cloud mix. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Thank you for voting ASC Credit Union, the best credit union in the River Region 6 years in a row. As we celebrate our 70th anniversary, we are proud to be at the top of the list for the best credit union in the hearts of the communities we serve.
Live local talk, the River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Now, I don't want to tease this anymore when it comes to the whole drone situation. So first, let's start with a New Jersey state senator. And Eddie, I don't want you to get too... You got a little upset yesterday when we were playing the governor.
Because a moron. I mean, come on. He's like Chicken Little. Everybody just don't look up at the sky. It'll go away.
Just, yeah, right. And we don't know. We don't have any answers.
Right.
But now, completely ruining the governor's messaging, we have a state senator essentially calling for what is the quote? Limited state of emergency. What the heck does that mean?
I don't know.
Right.
Like state of emergency. Well, what? It's a limited emergency. Let's listen into this.
In New Jersey.
So, sir, the FBI and our Newark field office, along with the state and local partners there, the Bureau is actively investigating the situation you mentioned, just the unexplained sighting of drone activity.
And the video we're playing here on the stream, folks, it's split screen. On the bottom, you're seeing these drones. And that is bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Over that part of New Jersey, including proximity to sensitive sites and areas of concern. So we do not attribute that to an individual or a group yet. We're investigating, but I don't have an answer of who's responsible for that, of one or more people that are responsible for those drone flights. But we're actively investigating. What the Bureau has done to aid our state and local partners is what we generally do, enlist the help of the interagency, enlist the help of the public. There's a tip line there, that 1-800-CALL FBI, tips.fbi, for information from the public that could help us resolve this. It is concerning.
Don't freak out. We have no clue what's going on. Don't freak out, but give us tips. Like, don't look up, but look up.
So what happens when Bubba blasts one and goes, "Hey, I got one of them things y'all looking for here in the yard. Y'all want to come get it? It'll cost you a little bit of money now, but I got one."
It goes back to the state senator
Safety
here.
at risk. Are we concerned that there are nefarious intentions that could cause either national security or a public safety incident that would put Americans at risk?
There's nothing that is known that would lead me to say that, but we just don't know.
Why is it so hard to get answers? These are apparently very, as I understand it, very sophisticated. The minute.
So now let's go to the congressman I mentioned. He said this, I believe, on Fox News, where he is, he's got a very good source, apparently saying he got a tip. They're calling in, give us tips and whatnot. Apparently, Jeff Van Drew got a tip on this. Let's see what the congressman from New Jersey has to say.
Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, member of the House Judiciary Committee on the Hill right now. How do you address this at this point?
Well, here's the real deal, Harris. You know, I'm also on the Transportation Committee, on the Aviation Subcommittee, and I've gotten to know people. And from very high sources, very qualified sources, very responsible sources, I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America.
Wait, it's like he could hear us laughing at him. No, I'm going to tell you the deal.
Hold on, where are you guys going?
Okay, let's let him finish.
Launched drones is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, you know, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been
they would have.
Right. They let us know everything.
Hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward. The sources I have are good. They can't reveal who they are because they are speaking to me in confidentiality. These drones should be shot down. Whether it was some crazy hobbyist that we can't imagine, or whether it is Iran, and I think it very possibly could be.
I love this.
I got it. I'm going to match Garland Gudger's offer, $1,000 for any drone shot down.
Right. I mean, it's just,
Yes. Yes, we'll give it
What
to
kind
you
of
in
fear are
Bitcoin.
you trying to put into the general public that we don't know what it is, but there's a mothership from Iran off the coast?
Well, given how the messaging is all over the place, I don't think they do necessarily. Somebody knows, but like all these elected officials have no clue.
Okay, let's assume they don't know. They're willing to let everyone here in the United States freak out, including themselves, and not do anything about it. Not put anything up in the air to check it out, not to look at their own radar, not to look at satellite imagery. They're just going to put their head in the sand. They know.
Guys, this is big. Like these don't just appear. Those drones, as you mentioned, are the size of vehicles.
Yeah,
they're
Listen to
massive.
this. More than a dozen drones followed a 47-foot Coast Guard boat Sunday night. That's a little concerning.
Yeah.
And law enforcement tracked another 50 drones coming into land from the ocean. How many drones are there? That's like 63 drones right there.
Yeah, and again, I love it's like, don't freak out. We're looking into this. It's, well, is it a threat to the public? Well, we don't really know, says the state government. You go up to a congressman on Fox News, I think it's Iran with their mothership. Y'all should shoot them down.
Blast them.
Congressman, that's against federal law.
Yeah.
Ask any drone pilot.
It's not.
They had to take the test. Nope, just go ahead and shoot them.
Yeah. So what happens when Bubba blasts one out of the sky and it says "Made in the USA, property of U.S. Army"?
Well, that's what's going to happen. Look, if
Right.
you have a dozen drones following a Coast Guard ship, and you don't think the U.S. military would shoot them down if they thought they were a threat, like, these are probably our drones.
Right.
And by
Most
the way, I did see the drones. One of them did have the red and green lights on the
Yeah,
window.
one of them looked very much like a normal airplane.
Maybe that was the mothership.
They can move sideways, Joey. Not just up and down, but sideways.
Well, if you wanted to hide an alien drone,
Yeah.
it would you make it look like a 747.
Or you just turn off the lights. Because
Well, yeah, you do the cloaking mechanism like you're a Romulan or something.
go in the
Well, that's
dark
the
and
thing.
turn off the lights.
These drones all had all their bright lights
Yeah.
on, like they were trying to light up something. So it's not like they were trying to hide that they were there.
Well, not only that, yeah, they had their navigational lights on, which, if you were trying to hide, you would not turn your
Right.
navigational lights on.
I just love stuff like this. 272-9228. Line 1, you're on there. Who's this?
Hey, it's Kyle. How are you fellas?
Hey,
Doing
Kyle,
all right,
how you doing, bud?
Good. I just wanted to say this, man. Our posturing is wrong. They're going, well, we don't think this could cause any public safety incident. Well, before 9/11, you didn't think anybody would drive a plane into the damn Twin Towers. So your posture's wrong. Don't go, well, we're investigating this. Be all over the damn thing and
Right.
figure out what's going on.
No, Jeff Van Drew's got the right idea. Shoot it down. Blast. See what it is.
Look, blast it out of the sky, man, all of them. And you know what? Get a government contractor to do it.
There you go.
There's some mercenaries that would just love to blast stuff out of the sky.
We
That
had
way,
had a Coast Guard ship. We could have done it.
Right.
Good point.
Right.
They had radar
Right,
on there.
exactly.
And they had a radio. They could have called for backup through the skies. There are a million things they could have done, but they did nothing. So-
Never before has duty been so fun.
Or maybe they did shoot one down. They didn't tell us.
Yeah.
And we can't tell you what, but we might have found biologics on
Right.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, fellas, y'all have a good one.
Take care, man.
By the way, on Monday, we are having a guy named Luis Elizondo.
Yes.
He's done a full interview on Joe Rogan. He's testified in front of Congress many times. He is a researcher for the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Our good friend Troy Carrico is friends with him. And so looking forward to talking to him Monday. And it should be a fascinating conversation because there is something. I think it's the larger UAP conversation that's got everybody so worked up.
Oh, yeah.
About what's in the sky. What's in the sky there in the coast of New Jersey? Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, it's Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, I'm not so sure. I'm not as much petrified by the drones as I am the politicians. The response from them is like, we don't know. See, the same thing as the balloon deal, right? The Chinese
Right.
balloon. They had a Chinese balloon fly literally over every military nuclear installation we had in the country, and it was like no big deal. And then we got this. I don't know who this is, but I mean, the most petrifying thing is the politicians' response, not as much the drones. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's almost like it's like kind of a setup to where, it's Iran. That was Iran's drones, and now we're gonna go fight. Go to war with Iran or something. So I don't know what the end game is, but it's just odd.
Well, we have an
That's
elected
odd.
statewide official here in the studio with us. Imagine these are over the skies of Alabama. Well, number one, they'd already be shot
Thank
at
you.
and blasted out. of the sky.
Clear that up.
But imagine this was going on in Alabama, and if somebody came to you and asked, you'd probably be like, "Well, I don't know." Like, why say anything if you don't know?
Well, you don't go out there and start peddling conspiracy theories and
Right.
talk about motherships and that kind of thing. You definitely don't do that.
Mothership.
Yeah.
And but the weirdest part, this was yesterday. The weirdest answer to me, well, they're not gonna, they're no in danger to the citizens.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
If you don't know what they are, right? How do you even know that? Plus, anything that size falling out of the sky is dangerous to anybody that's on the ground.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, then again, you got a guy saying there's a mothership and
An Iranian.
drones of Iranian.
Yeah.
I mean, what in the world?
this is
are
why-
we that desperate to get in World War III so we can, throw the Constitution out the window and have Joe Biden be our president forever?
No.
That's my fear about all this ramping up stuff. The stuff in Ukraine, this garbage here, it's all a ramp up. And my fear is that by the 20th of January, we might still have Joe Biden as president. I don't know what these people are up to. I mean, they've gotten their rear ends kicked so bad. I mean, their TV stations or cable networks are collapsing. No one believes anything in the newspapers anymore, and then, what do they have left? They have nothing. I mean, and then the investigations that could start happening once Trump is installed.
Well, and you're right with the sense of it, Chris, in this sense that from mid-October to mid-November, it's like time sped up. It flew by. Maybe it's because it's big events and everybody reacting to big events. But this last month, December so far, like this transition, it seems like it's taking forever.
Yeah,
And Trump can't be sworn in soon enough.
Right.
And all the little moves in foreign policy and trying to put people on different commissions and government regulatory boards at the last second.
Pardoning Hunter Biden.
Oh, yeah. Well, that big one there.
More to come.
It's just, well, they are who we thought they were. And they're going to keep doing it until they're out of power.
Yep. And Chris Ray leaving, too. Did you hear about that?
Oh, yeah. He don't want to be fired. He wants to resign. I quit.
Right.
You don't fire me. I quit.
Hey, what's your thought about the Matt Gaetz situation, though? I thought this whole thing's a little odd, too.
If I could just be very blunt about it, I think Matt Gaetz probably had sex with that girl, didn't know, and was up to all sorts of stuff. But I don't think he necessarily knew he was engaging anything illegally. I think Matt Gaetz did some stuff in his past, and it's being dragged out in public. Now, I've got a great story about somebody who just lost, who then leaked the whole Gaetz report. And so it's not just about what Matt Gaetz did. It's more about how Congress functions. And if you try to get any position of authority, everything you've done wrong in the past will come out, whether you knew it was illegal or not. I mean, part of me is sick in the sense that the papers can accuse you of all sorts of things, but there's an investigation and you're not charged with anything. It should be kind of a moot point. But if it's dirty enough, even if it's not illegal, it's going to ruin you.
Then why do you resign? I mean, if you're not guilty, I would never resign. I would stay and fight. So there must be something there. But you know what annoys me? Because I like Gates's politics and his style. I like that. I was looking forward to him being AG, and we're not going to get it. And now he's out of Congress, too. So it's like we got the worst of both worlds here. Unless DeSantis appoints him to the U.S. Senate, which I don't think will happen, but it is funny to at least...
That would be a lot of fun.
It is funny to at least think about. But you know what annoys me is that the Democrats can appoint a dude in a dress for HH&S, and the Democrats all confirm that person.
Like it's no big deal.
Right. And then it's like the Republicans are like, we can't vote for Gaetz. I mean, that would be too radical for us to do. It's like, look what they did.
Yeah. Well, and who are we going to appoint to look over the disposal of nuclear waste in this country? Oh, let's get a bald guy who's a kleptomaniac and likes to steal women's clothes at airports.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, Joe, are you gonna travel with the mayor to Beverly Hills to talk about anti-Semitism?
No, I'll just invite Philip Insler on. We can talk about it here. Don't need to go to Beverly Hills to talk about that. Like, come on. Like, it's just goodness.
We can do a Zoom call. Hey, Philip. Hey, Mayor, you can do a Zoom call about that, buddy. Have a good one.
Appreciate it, Chris. I have to hit this break. We'll be right back real quick.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Put the power of Action 8 News in the palm of your hand. Download the free Action 8 News app to stay on top of breaking news wherever you are. Search for WAKA News in your app store to download the Action 8 News app today. Keep your family safe by watching Action 8 News. Look for 8 on your side consumer alerts with product recalls involving cars, food, children's toys, and other items in your home. 8 on your side, keeping you safe only on Action 8 News.
Before you buy new floors at a discount store and get them installed by the cousin of a friend who does this kind of thing, consider the better option. Prattville Carpet carries the most reputable brands for selection, style, and quality you can trust. And with their non-transferable lifetime installation warranty, you'll never have to worry about hardwood warping or carpet buckling. Your floors will stay as beautiful as the day they installed them.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measure. Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's, again, 334-272-9228. Joining us now is Austin Barenko with Invista Advisors. Austin, how you doing this afternoon?
Having a great day, Joey. What about you guys?
Oh, we're doing all right. We got everybody all worked up talking about these drones over New Jersey. And that conversation will continue, I think, into the next hour. But what I'm interested in is, what do you make of the latest jobs numbers and then also inflation numbers that have just been dropped out there?
Yeah, it does look like the CPI numbers came in with a little bit of growth. So although I was skeptical that we would get another cut coming into year end, I'd say that now it looks a little bit more likely. So I think that's a positive. You are seeing a broad rally across all major sectors. You know, we were down across most major indices yesterday, and today we're trading up across most major indices, Dow, NASDAQ, S&P, and you're even seeing the cryptos rally. So, yeah, you know, whenever you got lower interest rates, and that's the expectation here with CPI data coming in hot, you do expect, you know, there's a chance that we might get a lower interest rate to the end of the year and then a pause. I think that, you know, it makes markets happier. So for now, we're keeping our eye on it. Brant and I are actually just finishing up a little photo session in our office. We're revamping our website. So this morning we've had photographers and we've been rearranging the office. So it's not a typical day for me where I'm plugged in like I normally am, but hopefully soon we'll have a whole new website, trying to roll it out in January for some people to see. So don't go look at our website right now because it might be offline while we make some changes. But hopefully in the new year we can tout a new website with some new content.
And of course, that site is InvistaAdvisors.com, but as Austin said, it might be under maintenance. But you know, I know you and Brant and the entire team there, y'all each have your own specialties, and it's sort of a full multidiscipline approach there at Invista. But I'd imagine, do y'all have like one person doing Fed watching? Because I know the markets, people who aren't in that world, I don't think they know how important it is. Everything, say, Jerome Powell says is priced in, it seems.
Yeah, and it's so hard. So first I'll back up and answer your first question. We have a team approach, and everybody kind of has their finger on the pulse in various areas. You know, Chad heads up our research and analytics. Lisa and Mike handle kind of new tax laws and accounting changes that come through. Brant is probably the most dialed in on macro and microeconomics, and then I do all the trading here. But we're all responsible for a degree of watching our investments. So, you know, we meet again on Monday as a committee. So, you know, we have a shared responsibility. But the other thing I try my best to not get looped into, and especially behaviorally for clients, trying to explain this to them, you're right, that every little announcement the Fed makes, every little earnings report that comes out from, the larger companies in the country will move the market slightly, but it's an irrational market, and it's crazy that, sometimes we might expect after an announcement for a market to move one way, and it moves the opposite way. So it's so irrational sometimes how markets move. And our thought process here is not so short-term focused. We've had a huge rally into the year end. I think I was looking at the Magnificent Seven stocks on CNBC earlier in the last 12 trading days are up a combined 40%, which is insane. But if you're looking at something in a 2-week span, we're probably not the ideal group for you. We can talk about it all day long, but what we're looking at is we're looking for themes that will buy now or on January 1 that'll ride throughout the remainder of the year, and potentially increase 50%, 80%. But it's not going to happen overnight, and there's going to be some volatility on the way. So as your average investor or retail client looks at a very short term, and they're constantly watching the news, and Jerome Powell speaks and the market pops a few percentage points, we definitely look at that stuff. We have to. But for the types of money that we manage people's retirement, it's not about where their account is today or tomorrow or next year. It's about, hey, you're 40, you've got 20 more years of working, 25 more years of working, and let's try to pick something that's going to hold value over a longer period of time. And so 2 different worlds. We look at both of them, but my preference is always on longer-term value and not getting caught up in the day-to-day hysteria.
Well, and it's really all of the above approach there at Investa, whether you're an individual or a business, maybe you're running a nonprofit or an endowment, maybe you need that business consulting, risk management, financial planning, investments, insurance in the long run. They do it all there in Investa. So y'all check them out today. You can always call them at 387-0094. And be sure to say, hey, I heard Austin Barenko there in Vista talking to Joey Clark on the radio. And I appreciate it as always, Austin.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe. You have a great day.
You too. Again, folks, that's Austin Barenko with Invista Advisors.
The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. The opinions expressed in this material do not necessarily reflect the views of LPL Financial. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice is offered through Invista Advisors, registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
So, folks, if you want to get back on the line and in line on the phones, 334-272-9228. We're going to hit the top of the hour break, and we'll go wherever you like. Again, Eddie Vader in the studio, of course, as well as the state auditor, the auditor here for the great state of Alabama, Andrew Sorrell. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Weather conditions forecast to improve this week in Southern California and aid firefighters in their battle against a wildfire that's forced up to 20,000 people from their homes. The blaze has grown to more than 2,800 acres. It's 0% contained. It was not immediately known how the so-called Franklin fire started. It tore through part of Malibu. Only about 2 in 10 Americans approve of President Joe Biden's decision to pardon his son Hunter, after earlier promising he would not do that. That's according to a poll from the Associated Press Nork Center for Public Affairs Research. The survey found that only a small share of Americans strongly or somewhat approve of the president's decision. About half strongly or somewhat disapprove of it. The Dow is up 62 points. The Nasdaq ahead 351. This is SRN News.
Our nation's problems have been building for the past 50 years, and they're not going away overnight, which is why we must prepare now for a financial collapse that will affect the entire economy. The good news is there's an easy way to do that. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe everyone should consider a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group to diversify their IRA or 401k. Gold is a proven bedrock in almost every kind of economy. To learn more, get a free info kit from my trusted friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PREPARE to 989898. Don't wait until decades of government irresponsibility comes crashing down on your retirement. Get your free info kit on gold IRAs from the Birch Gold Group now. Text PREPARE to the number 989898. That's PREPARE to 989898.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of H&H Carpets, in stock specials on waterproof luxury vinyl plank and engineered hardwood flooring at blowout sale prices. H&H Carpet, across from Walmart on the Atlanta Highway.
Well, hi, everybody. Another big temperature setback today. Rather brisk, windy, cold, high temperature only up to about 51. It'll seem colder than that with wind gusts as high as 25 miles per hour. Clear, cold, we'll head down to about 29 for the overnight low temperature tonight. Temperatures still well below normal tomorrow with a high up to about 53. There will be another freeze on Thursday night, and then Friday not quite as cool with a high temperature up to about 59. Still dry with a sun and cloud mix. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Web Bobo with Capital Tractor. Get a Kubota RTV with a $2,000 instant rebate or 0% APR. Up to 48 months with approved credit. Get a Kubota now through December 31st, 2024. See Capital Tractor Montgomery and Brundage or KubotaUSA.com for details.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, here's today's top stories. Montgomery police are investigating a deadly Monday night shooting. Units responded to the 300 block of Georgia Street shortly before 9:15, where 26-year-old Courtney Gunn was found with a fatal gunshot wound. Suspect and motive unknown. This is the 59th homicide of the year in Montgomery. According to Retirement Systems of Alabama CEO David Bronner, construction of the new Alabama State House is 4 to 6 months behind schedule. The legislature contracted RSA to design and build the new State House last year. The project was originally expected to be completed in early 2027 at a cost of $325 million. Hope Hull native and country music singer Ella Langley's new song is #1 on the Billboard Country Chart. You Look Like You Love Me moved from 7 to #1 this week, the third biggest jump to the top in the chart's nearly 35-year history. Ella Langley is also the first woman to top the country chart this year. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Second hour of the program here on a Wednesday. I'm Joey Clark. Eddie Bader in the house, as is State Auditor of the great state of Alabama, Andrew Sorrell. And we got a few calls rolling in here. Coming up, though, we definitely need to discuss, especially you and I, Andrew, we need to discuss Bitcoin. and what's just in general going on in the Bitcoin world, but in particular how Alabama, the state of Alabama, can get in on this. It should be a good conversation. We also might be having the majority leader of the state
house, yeah.
Yeah, calling in Stadhagen. And he's got a new bill out that's essentially protecting the kids from the LGBTQ agenda. And it's about time conservatives. It's one thing what you do in your own private life, a private business even. But when you're on the taxpayer dime, it's about time conservatives fought back in public spaces. Because I think it reflects the will of the people in this state.
It is. You know, I served with Scott Stadhagen in the House for 4 years and got a lot of respect for him. And, you know, had I still been in the House, would have supported him, but moved on. But anyway, yeah, Scott, I mean, he had some of the best bills when I was in the legislature. You know, the transgender bathroom bill, transgender sports bill, him and Garland Gudger were the ones getting those over the finish line. And Florida's, you know, don't say gay bill.
Yeah.
You know, Stadhagen got that done here in Alabama. So he's got more coming. There's more bills.
Well, and I just thought of this, not to do too much inside baseball, but with Garland Gudger now pro tem, do you think this creates even more synergy between the Senate and the House? And like those two already have worked together and will work together more?
Those two are known to be best buds in Alabama. And they were best buds before either of them was in leadership. And then you see Stadhagen win 1.5 years, 2 years ago and get majority leader in the House. And now you see Gudger go from no leadership position to all of a sudden pro tem. I mean, he just skipped right through the ranks, and he's not whip, he's not majority leader. He just boom, he's pro tem. And yeah, those two are kind of thick as thieves, and they're from the same area. You know, they're from Coleman, and the Hartselle is where Scott Stadhagen lives.
Yeah,
and yeah, I think there's going to be some synergy.
Well, good, and we might have him on and Scott Stadhagen in the 2:00 hour.
Yes,
so looking forward to that. Let's go to the phones. James has been very patient. Hey, James.
Hartselle, Winnie Wisdom is in Hartselle. Did you know that, Joey?
No.
Maybe you should make the trip up and visit with Melissa.
There's a lot of places I need to go, James.
Joey, on occasion, I will Google my home address, and you probably have already jumped forward as to where I'm going with this, and I can see what's in my front yard or what's up and down the street. And the most recent one has this awful red Camry in the front yard, which, praise God, is gone. Hope I never see it again. That is done with GPS, and you guys touched on this earlier. Most people, whether they know or do not know, many of, if not all, GPS satellites or GPS systems are geosynchronous in that they are over one part of the globe. In other words, as the Earth is rotating on its so-called axis, that satellite is revolving around the landmass that it is over at the same rate of speed. Henceforth, it is geosynchronous. You with me, Joey?
Yes.
Okay, so the idea that those people in New Jersey, whether they're state senators or congressmen or U.S. senators or what have you, the idea that they don't know, maybe they don't know, but somebody out there that wants to know can know. I mean, because Google any address on the planet, and it can put you, Google Maps can put you right there on the street with whatever it is you want to find.
Oh, yeah.
So when those, oh my gosh, drones, when they're in the air, they go somewhere. So they can be tracked. And to anybody say they don't know what they are or where they're coming from or who's putting them up or pulling them down or any of that, somebody, like I said, somebody somewhere knows what these things are about.
Yeah, no, obviously. But it's just interesting, all the mixed messages coming out from the politicians at the state and federal level in that neck of the woods. And whoever knows is keeping it close to the vest. I do like Van Drew's idea. I know it's against federal law. Just shoot them down. Blast them out of the sky.
Now, what about Herschel Walker earlier? You mentioned, and this was probably 15, 30 minutes ago, as I'm traveling back here Herschel Walker in the Canadian Football League. If I'm not mistaken, Herschel Walker left college as a junior, and I believe he was the first to do so, and that's why they have the 3-year thing now. It was the USFL.
USFL.
He played, yes, and he played for the New Jersey Generals. Do you want to tell me who was the owner of the New Jersey Generals?
I have no clue, but is it Trump?
Come on, Joey.
Is it Trump?
Come on. Yes.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Well,
Trump
some of us
was,
are just filled with interesting facts, Joey.
Trump was trying to compete with the NFL at one point.
Yes, he was.
That was the whole idea, and I think the reason the USFL failed was because Donald Trump and others like him were attempting to spend too much money, or were spending too much money, and the rest of the owners could not keep pace, and that's why the league folded. And I believe I'm right. That's the United States Football League. And of course, there was one effort prior to that with when they robbed Jim Kick and Zonka and some others, but that was a little bit earlier, if I'm not sadly mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate
prior
it as
decade.
always, James. I really do.
Joey, it's always my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. 272-9228. So it wasn't the Canadian Football League. It was the USFL. Let's go to Soldier Boy. Hey, Soldier Boy.
That's how Trump went over there and talked and got Herschel Walker on his team. Made the big bucks, baby. That's why Herschel didn't first start off in the NFL. It was a USFL. And Joey, all these drones that are flying, okay? Yesterday they had about a House meetings yesterday. So the FAA guy doesn't know what the hell they are. Department of Defense don't know what the hell they are. Department of Homeland Security doesn't know what the hell they are. Come on, Joey. You can't tell me that crap's... Are we going to play this balloon with the air condition floating from China spy box story again? They're not trying to hide them.
No, they're not.
They got to land somewhere, don't they? Joey,
Yes.
don't they have to land somewhere?
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
they're docking with the Iranian mothership.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's still landing there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a ship out there in the water. Woo, yeah. It's like the German Nazis had their subs right outside the South Carolina coast. Okay?
I'm surprised.
Hell,
a
we knew.
hobbyist. Go
It
ahead.
ain't no hobbyist.
No, I'm surprised a hobbyist hadn't put a drone in the air and got a picture of it. That's probably what's going to happen the next couple of days. It takes all a minute and a half to launch a drone. If there's one within sight, you can put one up and take a picture and pull it back down.
One or two things is true. There either are drones or the government knows whose drones they are. They just haven't released the information.
Right.
And is the government going to go this denial, the path of in the river of denial of Egypt, and say
One of their
we don't
favorite
know what
rivers.
it is? Well, I mean, this is just too freaking obvious, man. You're getting pictures and videos of this phenomenon that's happening, and it's not like the persons that are doing it are trying to hide it.
Agreed.
They're not doing anything to try to hide it. So
Yeah.
it's obvious whoever it is not trying to hide their operation.
And Soldier Boy, you feel a little under the weather? Your voice a little different today. It sounds
cranky.
like you're doing an RFK
My voice-
Jr. impersonation.
Well, thanks a lot, Joey.
You're welcome.
My voice is a little bit.
I love Bobby Kennedy. It's a compliment.
I know, but here's my problem. Where the hell is it coming from, and why? Two questions.
Yeah.
All they got to do instead of flying over New Jersey and New York is fly over here down beneath the Mason-Dixon line with the good old country boys out there in the field with some shotguns.
We're in agreement.
Take that crap down.
Yeah.
It would take a
Just
10
say-
gauge to bring those.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are big.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And all you got to do is yell that famous word, "Oh!" like skeet shooting, and drop them bad boys.
And knowing some country boys, they might fly their drones up in there just to fly next to
easier.
them.
Yeah.
Honestly, those might be too big and too out of range for a shotgun to take down.
All right, get the elephant gun, honey.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, a rifle.
Oh no, but you're right. If it was around here, I think one of these would have been grounded already. But
By now. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I
hey.
can see a redneck here getting his buddy up in his biplane with a shotgun.
Yeah.
We're gonna go get him. We're going hunting.
Well,
that bad boy's coming down.
well, I appreciate
Joey,
the. Oh yeah, yeah.
But Joey, what's going on? Who's doing it? Why?
I don't know.
Tell me, Joey. You're the man in the know.
Not on this one.
Not on this one. I'm in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And if I did know, do you think I'd tell you right now on a radio show?
Breaking news. Joey knows. I think you should.
Like I worked hard for my classification, like clearance. Like I didn't give it up to this guy.
How is it something that's so freaking damn obvious and nobody has the answer?
That's why it's a story. Appreciate it, Soldier Boy.
See you, Soldier Boy.
272-9228. Line 3, you're on there. Who's this?
Semper Dave.
Hey, Semper
Semper
Dave.
Dave.
Well, instead of having the old traditional turkeys shoot, we could have the drones shoot.
Mm-hmm.
that actually sounds like a lot of fun.
There's a reason they're there, not here.
You know, see the metal fly, instead of the feathers. But anyway, so speaking of sports, did you see where the old honorable politician in Ohio by the name of Josh Williams, a honorable legislator there, has introduced a bill to make it a felony that if you plant a flag in the middle of the Ohio State Stadium, you are subject to a felony.
Oh my goodness!
A little bit over the top
What?
there,
Are you
Ohio State
serious?
fan.
Well, see, this is what happens this time of year. Instead of the politicians being out kissing the babies, lighting the Christmas tree, they get bored. And a bored politician is a dangerous animal.
Yep. They got money.
Can you see the kid going in for the job interview, right out of college, and, whoa, you got a felony conviction. Can you tell us about that? Well, I was assisting. It was a conspiracy along with the other 50,000 fans
Right.
to plant the flag with the football players, and we just got a bit carried away. But now I've got a felony conviction. That's the most idiotic, ridiculous, with all the things that need to be addressed, wasting your time on this.
Well, it's like Will Ainsworth and his frat getting in trouble for stealing the tiger statues. It's like, yeah, come on. Like when you look under the hood on some of these crimes, you're like, it's kids in college.
This
man.
does give me a bill idea. We can pitch this to the majority leader coming on. All right, if you come to Alabama as a visiting fan and you cheer for your team against ours, felony.
I like where you're going with that.
We need all that. Since Saban left, we need all the help we can get.
Exactly. They won't let glass containers in because it's a safety issue.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't they just amend this thing and say no metal flagpoles, only rubber, and if you try to plant it, the thing will bend on you. But that's a little common sense. But y'all have a good day.
See you, Semper Days.
272-9228. Line 4 on there. Who's this?
This is Jeff. Hey, Joey, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm good. I wanted to discuss this drone thing. I know a little bit about this, and the issue that nobody's talking about is that these things are not your average size drone. They're large and they're loud. The only reason they're around New Jersey is because it's close to the coast. These things were landing anywhere. Everybody is aware. They would be calling in and telling people where these things are landing because they are not quiet. So these things most likely coming in at night and going back out over the water, so they can't be heard. And I'll just hang up and listen to your commentary. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, if Congressman Van Drew, if what he's saying is true, that it's an Iranian drone going to an Iranian mothership off the coast, let's say, and the U.S. military is not doing anything about that, that's a scandal. I mean, that's worse than the Chinese spy balloon.
100%.
Much worse. Like, what are we doing in terms of actual home defense, homeland defense? That would be a massive problem. And honestly, at this point, with this government, I wouldn't be surprised if in some way they dropped the ball. Or in the name of keeping things classified and not having a PR problem, they're not talking about it. Or maybe they're just that comfortable that they do have direct energy weapons and stuff where they could knock these things out of the sky if they wanted to, but They'd rather just watch it go on. I don't know.
Well, wonder, is it illegal? You said it's illegal to shoot a drone down. What if you're outside the 3 miles range of international waters, for instance, on the coast or something? Would it be illegal?
think so, huh?
I mean, maybe some redneck in a boat will take one of these things down. I don't know.
You got to watch out for those New Jersey rednecks.
They have a few up there.
They
There
get a
really
few,
are a few up
actually.
there,
They
yeah.
do.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they obviously ain't man enough to get a 10 gauge. You go out there and blast one of these things out.
Well,
of
the
the
gun
sky.
laws there are
Yeah, I was gonna
restrictive.
say.
Yeah, but I don't think most of the New Jerseyans pay attention to the gun laws.
Wow,
the
there
guys that are going to blast that out of the air, they're not worried about the if they got a license.
There was that guy driving through with no pistol permit that got thrown in jail in New Jersey, though. I mean,
Yep.
they're serious
There
about
was a
that
guy on
there.
vacation from Hyundai that did not know, and yeah, he spent the night in jail because he had a pistol on him.
Yeah, don't take your gun to New Jersey and don't pump your own gas. They
another
frown
one.
on
Yeah.
that as well. That's against the law, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pumping your own gas.
You know,
in New
but if
Jersey.
we get full like automation and AI taking over, can't those jobs come back? Like, just pay somebody something to like fill up your gas.
How lazy are you? Get out of the car and
It's
pump
not
your gas.
laziness. It's called class, Mr. Chisholm.
It's not class. That's ignorance.
No, I don't want to pull up and hand my credit card to
The
somebody.
crackhead Bob says, "Thanks, buddy." Oh, I thought that was the guy. that was gonna-
Crackhead Bob?
Yeah, right.
I thought that was the guy that was going to pump my
How
gas.
do you
No,
know
that's
who you're
crackhead
handing your
Bob.
card to?
Thank you.
Well,
That's-
y'all
Yeah,
don't.
man.
Y'all are untrusting.
Yes.
Well, and also I don't want to sit
Life
there
has
and
taught me
wait.
that.
Like there's one attendant, and there's 4 cars pull up. I just want to get out and pump my gas and be,
Be gone.
Yeah, same thing in Oregon. I ran into that problem in
Yeah,
Oregon.
That,
too.
I think Oregon and New Jersey. I think that's the last 2 states where that's
Oh.
actual law, which I don't understand.
It protects jobs.
Yeah, but how much is that guy making? I mean, what are you really protecting? You know?
No, seriously, if we go full automation, like the machines are doing most everything, you're going to get weird jobs that are kind of economically, I think, don't make sense, but people want jobs.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a cultural lifestyle thing that you're developing. I don't know, maybe you'll get blacksmiths again. And it's not like they're trying to make money, they're just trying to make cool
I
armor.
run into the same problem which I rarely ever valet park because I'm not that bougie. But you know, I went to an event in Nashville. It was a big RNC event, like the Red, White, and Blue Club is what they call it. It's people who donate like 40,000 or more to the RNC every year. So I was like, I'm gonna go meet some donors up there.
Yeah.
So I go to this event. I pull up at the hotel. I'm running late. There's no parking. I was like, fine, I'll valet park. So I give them the key. They charge me like $20 to valet park. Well, then when I'm leaving, so is everybody else.
Yep.
Oh God.
And I said, how long of a wait? Oh, I don't know. Could be an hour. And I said, tell you what, just give me my key.
I'll go get
and
it.
I'll
Yeah.
go get my own car. And that's what they did. And I just gave the guy a tip and just said, give me my own key. I went and got my car and drove off. And I was like, I'm not
Probably
waiting
saved an hour.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like it's not helping. Same thing with gas. It's easier for me to hop out and pump my own
Yeah.
gas. It doesn't help me for you to do it.
Yeah, it's I don't valet park. I did it once at a hotel, and I'm like, why am I even doing this?
Well,
It
now
doesn't make
there's
any sense.
common to see a sign that says valet parking except for stick shifts. 'Cause,
Really?
Yeah, so many
I've
people
not seen
cannot
that.
drive a stick shift.
Oh yeah, no, I admit, like I've never really had to learn. I
Right.
kind of get the concept, but I've
But
never
if
had
you
to
were
really drive stick.
A valet parker. I mean, if you were
Right.
literally the guy that did valet, I would assume you could drive most anything. It'd be like, you know.
True. Also, I don't love the idea of people going through my vehicle.
Right.
I mean, I pack heat in my
We
car.
all
most
saw
of the
Ferris
time.
Bueller's Day Off. We saw what happened.
That's right.
You know, my 88-year-old grandfather, living with him, I get these stories. That was one of his first jobs when he was like 18 years old. He was a valet parker, valet driver in New Jersey.
Mhm.
And it was at some nice club. And he told some story, I'm going to get it wrong, where one of the guys was like, it was a very nice convertible Cadillac. So we're talking like probably the late 50s, early 60s. You can imagine the type of car we're talking about,
Mhm.
a convertible Cadillac. And the guy who valet parked it was, he got really, really hammered drunk. And so somebody else took him home. And so my grandfather took the liberty at 18 years old to go and get in the Cadillac, drive up to what would eventually become his wife of 60 years, my grandmother, pull up to the house, just start honking. And like 2 other folks come out, here, we're just going to go joyride around. And I'm like, man, that's such a different world. Like with all the GPS and all the.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Right, exactly. Like, I don't think you can get away with that too much these days.
Most of the time when I'm on the campaign trail, I'm driving my Chevy Malibu, which has 275,000
Nice.
miles. And I also feel awkward valet parking my Chevy Malibu.
Yeah, when the valet guy goes, dude, I got a better ride.
I know.
Oh, that's fair. This part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health, and they're at Montgomery Men's Health. They're ready to help you fellas out, especially if you've been experiencing the symptoms of low testosterone. It can happen to guys naturally as they get into their 40s and 50s, and it also was happening to guys in their 20s and 30s. There is kind of an epidemic of low T across the Western world and here in the United States. So if you're feeling a lack of motivation, energy, and drive, including a decrease in your sex drive, your libido, you're just always tired, seeing on what weight gain and loss of muscle mass, just walking through your life like you're in a fog. Well, knowing whether you have low T is huge in combating some of these issues, especially if all of that's happening to you at the same time. And the providers there at Montgomery Men's Health can conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup, plus a consultation for only $99. And they have low T treatments there at Montgomery Men's Health that can truly change men's lives. Men after treatment can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym, brother, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism, usually even notice an increased libido.
Nothing wrong with that, Joey.
A lot right with it. So y'all call them up today, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. You can actually book the same day that you call, or you can make an appointment online at montgomerymenshealth.com. Do that today, and be sure to tell them that Joey and Eddie, those fellas on the radio, sent you. Now, speaking of a guy who definitely needs to go get his T checked, Justin Trudeau. Governor Justin Trudeau.
Governor.
It's so beautiful. It is so beautiful how Trump continues to troll this guy, and he deserves it. Because you're like, oh, give the Canadian the chance. No, don't give him a chance, Mr. President. Trump, you keep trolling him because this is just an amazing clip. This is Trudeau just the other day talking about the 2024 election outcome.
No, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet,
what a
just
jerk.
a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
Wait, Joey. Does he realize that Canada doesn't have a female running their country? I don't know if he realizes that. They don't have a female prime minister.
Right, he could step down.
How stupid.
Yeah. No, and it's this, that's what's running Canada?
Proud
It's
feminist.
been running?
Awful, but
Proud
yeah.
feminist.
Yep.
I'm a proud feminist. What is that?
But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist.
And it's just how he carries himself, too, how he says that. It's just, it's icky. And so keep making fun of this guy, but watch out. The leader of Canada's Green Party is upset with Trump for continuing to call Justin Trudeau Governor Trudeau of the great state of Canada. And she's now saying this is not funny. And you know when somebody, like some upper middle class white woman or affluent, wealthy female liberal and awful, when they start saying it's not funny, you know the joke's pretty damn funny. But let's listen in.
Trump on his Truth Social this morning greeted the Prime Minister as the governor of the 51st state.
Look at her face.
Oh, boy. Have you seen that? Do you have any thoughts about that?
I
about the
haven't
dynamics
seen
of the relationship?
I haven't seen that, but so I probably shouldn't comment. Just that with the Truth Social post of Donald Trump planting a Canadian flag on a Canadian mountain, I have to say that to the extent that this 51st state thing was a joke, it's not funny. And I find that pursuing it on social media makes me increasingly nervous. Mr. Trump has, we have to be very, very careful with the president-elect, and we have to pull together, I think, all opposition party leaders and premiers, all elements of the Canadian political establishment, such as we are, better pull together to make sure we don't create any cracks that allow Fox News or Mr. Trump's social media to exploit us and say things about Canada that aren't true.
Y'all suck.
I love that she identified herself as a member of the Canadian political establishment. I would never identify myself as that.
That's amazing. Just being asked that, you can see this is not somebody who's going to take a joke. And this is up there with Trump doing the photoshopped of a Trump Tower in Greenland.
Right.
Remember the whole
Right up
cycle
there.
where he wanted to buy Greenland?
Remember how funny that was?
That was funny.
Well, and sometimes it's Elon Musk's old motto. It said the most entertaining outcome will be true.
Hey.
And so maybe Trump will buy
They're
Greenland.
building a new airport in Greenland. So it's supposed to boost their tour. They only have 150,000 people a year go to Greenland. I want to go to Greenland.
I'd like to go.
Yeah,
Let's
I'd love to go to Greenland.
You know what I call Greenland? Our 52nd state.
And it isn't interesting where Greenland's more icy than Iceland, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Anyway.
You fly, it's literally just the coast that's green when you fly over it.
Yeah, it just Canada though, like to see folks this afraid, this nervous, as she said, about Trump, and he's not even president again. Like this is the part of the transition, though it's taking forever, as we said earlier. It's like Dad's about to be home in a week.
Yeah.
And you better get ready because Dad's
Better
going to
clean your
punish
room.
certain folks, and he's also going to reward others.
Do they not realize that we would never in a million years want Canada to be another state?
That's what's so ridiculous is she actually halfway takes that seriously, and she
Right.
should know better.
It's like if y'all were some conservative bastion, we thought we could get a couple more Republican senators. It might not be so fun. It might, but as it is now, it's totally a joke. We'd never let them in.
We do like to spread democracy, though, so that would be something new
Well,
for
but
us there.
somebody said to Trump, they said, you do realize they'd probably be a Democrat, governor and senators. And Trump
Very
said,
well be
but then he goes, well, let's split them in two and we can have a Republican state of Canada and a Democrat state. And
He thought about it.
There was more nervous laughter.
Oh, I love it. I think Trump making waves in very good ways. 272-9228. We got to hit another break, but first, this part of the program brought to you by River Region Contracting. And there at River Region Contracting, Todd Clark and the team there are ready to help you with that roof of yours. Could be you have a problem, for a fact.
Right.
Like you've noticed maybe a major leak. Maybe you went up in the attic and you can see the hole. You can see the problem. Yeah. Or it could be you heard bumps in the middle of the night, you're not quite sure, or you just haven't had that roof inspected in several years.
Right.
You're making a mistake. You should get that roof, whether it's an asphalt or a metal roof, inspected every few years. Eddie and I have been suggesting do it every year.
Why not?
But you're like, I'm not made of money. Well, here's the good news. At River Region Contracting, their inspections are free.
Absolutely free, Joey.
Always free. As are their estimates. If they do find an issue, they'll
Yep.
write up that estimate. It'll be accurate. They show up on time. They get the job done well. They love to inform their customers, too. Here's exactly your problem. Here's exactly what we're going to do to fix it. It's not like if you ask them as the homeowner, they'll be like, go away, kid, you're bothering me.
Right.
No, they really do enjoy providing that service. And they're insurance specialists, so they can walk you through that claims process and deal with your insurance company for you, make it an easy and swift experience. So call up Todd Clark and the team today. They're at River Region Contracting, 356-8635. That's 356-8635. And be sure to tell them that that Joey fella on the radio sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hello, I'm Johnny Sullivan from Sinclair's Restaurant. We're almost 27 years, and our business is as good as ever, and I give credit to Blue Water Broadcasting for keeping us on the air and letting people know what we do. Advertising with them has been a huge help to our business. I've seen a uptick from day one. If you need to grow your business, I highly recommend you give them a call.
Our advertisers are our biggest advocates. Call us to find out how radio can increase your bottom line. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
We have that time of year where storms roll through. A lot of times we're seeing a lot of power outages, in which we do install whole home generators.
We can keep your power on, absolutely. Generac generators. Peace of mind knowing you always got standby power.
About 30 seconds where you don't have power, those generators kick back on like nothing ever happened.
When storms roll in, sometimes the lights go out. But here at Mr. Electric, we'll never leave you in the dark.
It's the electric power to make things better.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ben. If your vehicle has seen better days, fear not, help is on the way. Mr. Ben's Auto Spa Express has added a professional detail shop. Specialized techniques and products are used to get your vehicle back to showroom shape. Hand washing, waxing, stain removal, odor removal, shampooing, minor scratch removal, and more. Mr. Ben's Auto Spa Express, next to Fraser Church on the Atlanta Highway. Come by for a free estimate. Look like you've been to Mr. Ben.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with
An elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Well, hi, everybody. Another big temperature setback today. Rather brisk, windy, cold, high temperature only up to about 51. It'll seem colder than that with wind gusts as high as 25 miles per hour. Clear, cold, we'll head down to about 29 for the overnight low temperature tonight. Temperatures still well below normal tomorrow with a high up to about 53. There will be another freeze on Thursday night, and then Friday not quite as cool with a high temperature up to about 59. Still dry with a sun and cloud mix. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
News happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACB.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Now, especially turning to our guest here, Eddie, I don't know if, are you getting tired of me talking about Bitcoin?
No.
You're all for it? Buy some more?
I bought some more, so.
Oh, you did?
It came down a little bit. So.
Yeah, no, I did too.
Okay. I mean, I'm not rolling.
No, it might be, folks. I'm putting in a lot of savings every month into it. I don't really care what the price is right now at the moment, because I learned over time, like, if you just played the long game, Joe, like 5-10 year investment, instead of thinking, well, I could trade this, because the average amount somebody holds Bitcoin is about 100 days.
Right.
Wow.
Which is a mistake. That is a complete mistake.
Yeah.
Do it for the long run. But what's cool is this is moving away from the conversation about Bitcoin from individuals buying it. And then what's the regulatory environment going to be? All important matters. But it's now moving to a question of institutions buying Bitcoin. And I think, again, Andrew Sorrell, state auditor here for the state of Alabama, here in the studio with me, we're on the same page. In fact, you're the one who, last time you were on, brought it up long before the news hit about Pennsylvania looking into this, but a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the state of Alabama. For folks who didn't hear our past conversation or, say, read your interview with Craig Monger at 1819news.com, like, what would be the general idea? Like, why a Bitcoin strategic reserve?
Let me say, first of all, this is slightly tongue-in-cheek, but last time I was here, Bitcoin was at $94,000. That was right at 1 month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm checking today, we're only at 101,000?
Yep.
I mean, come
Only?
on. What is that? It only went up 7,000. 30 days of our life have elapsed, and we only got another $7,000 on our Bitcoin price. But, it's funny because in legacy finance, that's an amazing return for a year.
Yeah, right.
And in crypto, we're like, what was that with a wasted month? What was that about? But anyway, that being said, I mean, crypto has averaged 55% returns per year for the last 15 years. Wow. Now, yes, is it up some years and down some years? Yes. Every fourth year, there's a big crash. We know that. The market gets too euphoric. There's kind of a bubble, so to speak. It pops. People come back to reality. But then what happens? Over time, it continues building, and the price goes higher every time. So all of these legacy finance people that preach diversification and would say, don't be invested in crypto, it's too risky. No, what's risky is not having any exposure to it.
Right.
That, like, this is a $3 trillion asset class right now. So if you ask somebody in legacy finance, would you recommend having a portion of my portfolio in gold and silver, for instance? They would say, yeah, 5% is appropriate for gold and silver. That's a lot of people would tell you. They want you to put most of it in a well-balanced portfolio of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, etc. But you ought to have a little gold and silver in there. Well, I say you ought to have a little crypto in there, because as we discussed last time I was here, the market cap for Bitcoin is now greater than the market cap for silver.
Right. Wow.
$1.7 trillion. I mean, Bitcoin just blew right by that. And there's other companies like, I think, Amazon and Nvidia that are in that low $2 trillion market cap range. Those are going to get flipped in probably the next couple months, honestly, if the Bitcoin price keeps going up. So if you have zero exposure, like the state of Alabama does, to Bitcoin, all of your investments are in dollar-denominated assets, mostly treasuries, I would assume. I think that's risky. I think having all your eggs in one basket is risky. And the question of whether or not crypto is here to stay is over. Like, will crypto succeed? Yes, we know that now. 500 million people in the world, 1 out of every, 16 people in the world own cryptocurrency. It's not going anywhere. So we need to accept that. We need to add it to our balance sheet.
Yeah. And
I borrowed the idea from Donald Trump. Donald Trump spoke at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville a few months ago, and he said, not only are we going to keep the 207,000 Bitcoin that America already owns, they got it through confiscations and whatnot. Not only are we going to keep that, we need to buy more. We need to buy, I want to own 5% of the world's Bitcoin supply. Well, we'd have to buy another 4%, which is another $80 billion. And that's why everyone's so excited when Trump won and the price of Bitcoin went up like $7,000. When it became clear on election night that Trump was going to win, the price went up $7,000 in a couple hours. And it never stopped. It hit 75, 80, 90. Now it's over $100,000. So will Trump follow through on this strategic Bitcoin reserve? I think he will. And that got me thinking, well, shouldn't the state have a strategic Bitcoin reserve? I think it should.
Yeah. Well, and I've always said as a joke with the ARPA funds, I know there's all sorts of strings attached and rules about ARPA funds, but can you imagine instead of $1 billion towards a prison, or 2 prisons, but 1 prison now, like you take that $1 billion and you'd put it in Bitcoin?
Well, you know what I asked was, can we use this money to pay off debt?
Yeah.
And everybody thought it was like the dumbest question ever asked in the House Republican caucus. Pay off debt? Sorrell,
what you talking about?
We got a big pile of money here. Let's spend it. What would you even ask that dumb question for? And then somebody answered my question, said, no, you can't use it to pay off debt. It's not one of the legally allowed reasons. Well, heaven forbid we shore up our state's finances and pay off debt. So if we can't pay off debt, I guess we can build a prison, or maybe we could buy some Bitcoin. And I'm looking for a way for Alabama to purchase its first Bitcoin.
Now, the idea isn't to have the legislature figure out the exact dollar amount. It would be to empower the Treasury?
Okay, so there's multiple different ways you can do it. You can have the legislature pass a bill that would allow, not require, the treasurer or RSA or whoever to invest in Bitcoin, because I'm sure right now it's not allowed under our law. So that would have to be authorized. Another way is you could have the legislature just directly buy it, like through an appropriation of the budget. So that would take the budget chair and then the legislature to vote for that. But I think if you do want to do it the right way, just have the legislature pass a bill that creates a strategic Bitcoin reserve and fund it with X number of $1 million per year. We're going to dollar cost average our way in. To be frank, right now is probably not the best time to be buying Bitcoin. I mean, it's already up. I mean, the time to buy it was when it was at 15,300 2 years ago, and nobody wanted to talk about Bitcoin. That's when you should have been buying. But the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Right.
So I'm not interested in state dumping a whole bunch of money in Bitcoin today, because I don't know if we're going to go up, down, sideways. I don't know what we're going to do. But I think over the long term, it is going to go up. And I think we ought to dollar cost average our way and maybe put a few $1 million a year into it and just see what happens. I don't think we can afford to not have any Bitcoin exposure.
Now, you know the legislature much better than I, like the actual people involved and the culture. like the institutions around it. How receptive at this point do you think folks in Alabama, especially running the state government, are to this? My sense is that I know for a fact there are state lawmakers who are personally buying and looking into it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, and that's the first step is, you personally get comfortable with this idea, then you start presenting it to the public and for a public institution. But what's your sense of where the state is in terms of how receptive they'll be to this idea?
So I think somewhat it's a generational thing. I think you're going to see like the Garland Gudgers of the world, the Scott Stadhegans of the world, some of the younger people that are in leadership, maybe they're in their 40s. People in their 40s own crypto. People in their 20s and 30s definitely own crypto. I'm 39, I own crypto. So I think that's going to help. And I think Donald Trump coming out as pro-crypto, putting an SEC chairman in who Trump has said he wants to govern with a, quote, light touch. That's complete opposite of what Gary Gensler's done the last 4 years under Biden. I think because Trump's for it, you might actually see people saying, oh, well, I don't sound crazy saying this anymore. Donald Trump wants to do it on the federal level. Yeah, maybe we should do it on the state level. And can Alabama just lead on one thing?
Amen.
Like we used to have football. We're not even in the playoff. We don't even have that anymore. Can we at least own some Bitcoin? Can we beat other states to that?
Well, and then in combination with the reserve, you have, and I know Phil Bensler and Mike Shaw are both in the House working on something like this. But you add to it a very crypto-friendly regulatory environment, just clear rules of the road. So, but buying into the reserve kind of signals to everybody in that industry, come to Alabama. We're at least buying in ourselves as a people into this. And so that could attract all sorts of things. I think of how much land is out here in our great state. Like maybe mining is something that comes here.
There's some residual power I've heard that TVA puts off through their hydroelectric dams and whatnot. Power that's just wasted. It's like we can generate more than we really need.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
What if the state of Alabama said, we'll take that extra power, we'll pay you 50 cents on the dollar for it. You're getting nothing for it now. It's just being wasted, and we'll run some Bitcoin miners with it. I don't know. Pretty creative idea.
Yeah.
Maybe it turned. I own Bitcoin miners, but they're in Texas.
We know a couple.
Right. And it's just this sort of forward-looking approach to catching the latest technology, not too early, because sometimes you do catch it. If this was 2013, you're going to have no appetite. But we're now in 10 years later. You have institutional players, including the federal government under Trump. I think it's the right move to at least look into it. Let's get on top of it.
Well, I was in the office of Treasurer Boozer yesterday, and we were talking about crypto. We had a great conversation about it, and one of the questions I brought up is, is this a tulip bubble? And the answer is no. But we were debating that question, and because the tulip bubble is very famous. It was like in the Netherlands in the 1600s, and the price of tulips went through the roof and then absolutely crashed. And a lot of people have equated crypto to a tulip bubble. I said, well, what you didn't see in the tulip bubble was a 15-year track record for the asset where it consistently gains over time. You saw it one time, the bubble inflate and pop. You didn't see the bubble in Bitcoin is reinflated now for the 5th time. This is like the 5th big run up. It's a 4-year cycle, and it has to do with the Bitcoin halvening, which is when the miners only get half as many Bitcoin rewards as they were getting the previous day for doing the same amount of mining work. So I don't think you can call it a tulip bubble when it's already bubbled 5 times. Like it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. I remember somebody saying it $1,000, Bitcoin overpriced. It's a bubble. $10,000. Headlines are the exact same thing. The funny thing, the headline's at $100,000. Now everybody wants to buy it. Microsoft's having
when it's a bigger risk. Bigger risk than ever.
The least risky time to buy it was when Satoshi owned all the coins, and it took 10,000 coins to buy a pizza. That was the best time to get into Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, especially if you want to be quite rich at the end of the day. So we'll see. I love that folks are at least having the conversation now. And I'd never pretended that I'm an expert in finance. I am not. I do not give financial advice on this show. I just have believed in, here's another thing that's different than the tulip mania. There's an actual underlying utility. I think this is one of the greatest innovations and actual technological breakthrough in money and the digital transformation of money that is going to change the world. Like, that's very different than everybody all of a sudden gets fetish for tulips. I think there's an actual technological utility here that is incredibly powerful.
Well, if you look at the price of gold, they say 83% of the price of gold has nothing to do with its value in electronics or jewelry or whatever. It's just the fact that people believe that it's money. And so we say, well, what backs up crypto? Well, you know what? A lot of things are worth a lot of money. They don't really have anything that backs them. Like, for instance, Airbnb is the largest like hotel chain in the world. Doesn't own any hotels.
Nope. Right.
Right.
Right. Digital
thing
transformation
with
of that.
Uber.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was digital, and we all understand the value of Uber. We can understand the value of Bitcoin without it being anything tangible.
Right. And it's a global, incorruptible ledger with a limited supply of essentially tokens or units. That is going to be a long-term asset that continues to gain value. Now that return, you said 55% over the last few years?
Last 15 years.
15 years. It will probably come down as more adoption, but still you're going to have positive gains most likely. And there's going to be a reward to first movers, and it's still quite early.
It really is early. I mean, I know it sounds crazy to say Bitcoin 100,000 is early, but the fact that not a single state is talking about this right now, I mean, until the last couple months,
right?
I mean, it's just now becoming cool for politicians to say they're for it.
Well, and instead of just buying more land or more precious metals or more real estate or ways people try to preserve wealth, I'm not saying folks will stop buying those things. They'll keep buying those things, but some of that money that would have gone to that stuff will now start going into Bitcoin. That's a lot of money.
All we're saying is just put a small fraction in.
There you go.
It just makes sense to balance out the portfolio.
We got to hit this break. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
What'll it be, Joe?
Coffee and apple pie. Whoa, Madge, what was that?
The lights? Oh, they always dim when the dishwasher turns on.
You should call Crosby Electric.
You think?
Overloaded circuits at your business can be dangerous. The experts at Crosby Electric can upgrade your electrical service to safely handle the load, and they can add receptacles where needed to eliminate overuse of extension cords.
Madge, I'd like to pay you. The problem is it's so dark in here I can't read my bill.
No, the problem is you're cheap.
Well, that's a problem too.
Effective, attractive lighting is essential for any business. Crosby Electric can help with a new lighting scheme that will give your business a fresh, exciting look, and they can recommend outdoor lighting for greater safety and security.
That'll be $4.50 for the coffee and pie, Joe.
Well, don't I get anything for recommending Crosby Electric?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Don't put off essential electrical upgrades for your business. Call 272-2085 or visit crosbyelectric.com.
What would you do if your favorite local independent pharmacy had to close? This is not a question we can afford to ignore. And at Adams Drugs, we are fighting alongside other independent pharmacies to keep our doors open. We need your help now. Contact your local and state representatives and demand they support our fight to stay open. You can find their contact information on our website, adamsdrugs.net. Thank you for your support. We look forward to serving you and your family for many years to come.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to the program. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Michael Cohen from Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how you doing today?
Hey, Jared, I'm fine.
Good to hear from you. What's the score there today at Cohen's?
It's 30-7.
30-7.
30-7. So, I tell you, I'm amazed at how many people are calling and getting us to send out televisions and sound bars made by some of those. They check it out online, and then we schedule Michael Jackson. He's off running. Today he's going to Wetumpka and to Titus. Had two in Montgomery, and I think he's got something on the way home in Deatsville. So it's just been good.
Well, and that new audio tech, like you're still in the world of wired speakers. Wired speakers still work. I have some, but This new audio really is sleek. It sounds amazing, and it's very much worth it.
You know, I had a lady the other day that came in and wanted a CD player. Of course, we don't have little baby CD players with speakers built into them. But we sold her some Sonos, and then, of course, she said she had Wi-Fi, but turns out that she doesn't have it in all of her house. So we've got to ask way more questions. Just, we take for granted that someone's house has Wi-Fi, but with everything that's being sold today, I mean, washers, dryers, refrigerators, television, sound bars, control systems, thermostats, everything today is really dependent on Wi-Fi, and we sell some really good Wi-Fi that we can augment our customers' Wi-Fi. It's just a constant. Everything's got to be upgraded.
There you go.
To get the best performance.
Well, and like we always say, everybody's kind of got the same products at this point, but it's the service that makes a difference there at Cohen's. It's why folks keep coming back, and generations of folks keep coming back to Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. You can always shop from home and online at thinkcohens.com. Or call them at 277-8890. But I really encourage you to stop by the Boulevard, 2515 Eastern Boulevard, right here in Montgomery. They're open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And be sure to tell Michael, or one of the great team members, that, hey, we heard Michael on the radio with Joey and that Eddie guy.
Yeah, I mean, because the Eddie guy, that's something that it doesn't happen all the time.
Right, he's not here every day, right.
Man, we all want to grow up and be Eddie.
Be careful. Be careful what you wish for.
Well, I appreciate it as always, Michael.
All right. Talk to y'all later.
See you, Michael.
2729228. But y'all hold your horses. After the top of our break, I believe we have the majority leader for the state house here in Alabama, Scott Stadhagen, on the line. We'll be talking to him. Y'all stay tuned.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
This is an SRNU special report. I'm John Scott. In Washington, FBI Director Christopher Wray has announced he plans to resign at the end of President Biden's term in January. That announcement comes a week and a half after President-elect Donald Trump announced his intention to nominate loyalist Kash Patel for the position. At a town hall meeting with the Bureau workforce, Wray said he would be stepping down after weeks of careful thought. Wray had previously been named by Trump and began the 10-year term. That's a link meant to insulate the agency from the political influence of changing administrations. He began in 2017. That's after Mr. Trump fired then FBI Director James Comey. Once again, Christopher announcing he will step down. This has been an SRNU special report.
Our nation's problems have been building for the past 50 years, and they're not going away overnight, which is why we must prepare now for a financial collapse that will affect the entire economy. The good news is there's an easy way to do that. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe everyone should consider a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group to diversify their IRA or 401k. Gold is a proven bedrock in almost every kind of economy. To learn more, get a free info kit from my trusted friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PREPARE to 989898. Don't wait until decades of government irresponsibility comes crashing down on your retirement. Get your free info kit on gold IRAs from the Birch Gold Group now. Text PREPARE to the number 989898. That's PREPARE to 989898.
Rich Thomas weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Well, hi, everybody. Another big temperature setback today. Rather brisk, windy, cold, high temperature only up to about 51. It'll seem colder than that with wind gusts as high as 25 miles per hour. Clear, cold. We'll head down to about 29 for the overnight low temperature tonight. Temperatures still well below normal tomorrow with a high up to about 53. There will be another freeze on Thursday night, and then Friday not quite as cool with a high temperature up to about 59. Still dry with a sun and cloud mix. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Thank you for voting ASC Credit Union the best credit union in the River Region 6 years in a row. As we celebrate our 70th anniversary, we are proud to be at the top of the list for the best credit union in the hearts of the communities we serve.
1819 News.
The soon-to-be president pro tem of the Alabama Senate, Garland Gudger, has just weighed in on the recent accusation that his hometown of Coleman, Alabama, is a racist sundown town. Those rumors started circulating on social media and were then furthered by a statewide media outlet, AL.com. Gudger was on the Right Side radio program with host Phil Williams, where he added $1,000 to a reward that was offered by Dale Jackson for anyone who could produce proof that this accusation against Coleman is true, in particular, the rumored sign that supposedly warns people of color that they're not welcome in the city and should leave by sundown.
And to the point where we've now called the city of festivals, and we have something every month during the summer where thousands and thousands of people come here. Obviously, we're the home of Rock the South, over 100,000 people. And this Christmas market, which is what all of this began about on AL.com, is going to bring in over 250,000 people this year over the next 4 weeks. And so for someone just to automatically assume that we're a sundown town in today's society is just asinine to me.
I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Some of the greatest blessings is just having people that care about you, to have someone that's just going to love you and make you feel important. They encourage you to be in church. They encourage you to be in prayer. They encourage you to be in your Bible. Now it's a part of my day every day. My house parents planted seeds in me that you can see where those seeds have sprouted in my life and helped change my life.
Big Oak Ranch, a Christian home for children needing a chance.
Alabama Power announces a cut in rates for 2025 for its customers. The rate cut will be about 1.8%. This rate cut is a result of a decision coming from the Alabama Public Service Commission. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
Now you can add the power of digital advertising to the #1 reach of radio. Let Blue Water's 20 years of local advertising and marketing success show you how. Grow your business with a complete suite of digital solutions, combined with the reach of the most listened to radio group in the River Region. Call us or go to BlueWaterBroadcasting.com to find out how we can increase your return on investment. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
For more information, send an email to digital@bluewaterbroadcasting.com.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is #1 in the #2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the Afternoon, or as we call this show online, Joey Clark Live. You can always watch online on YouTube or on the X platform. Eddie Bader in the studio, as is. He's been here all day, and I like it very much. State Auditor Andrew Sorrell. Been a good conversation so far, and we're adding another voice to that conversation. We have the State House here in Alabama, State House Majority Leader Scott Stadhagen on the line. Scott, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Joey. Thanks for having me on, man. I think this is my first time on your show.
I think you called in like once about the softball game, but we won't count that one.
Okay. My apologies.
It's all good. So you have a bill pre-filed. This is House Bill 67, and it would accomplish something I think folks have been wanting to accomplish, yourself included and others, for a few years now. I'll put it this way before we get the details. It's one thing what somebody does in their own private home, maybe even private business, but it's about time conservatives, and especially a very conservative state like here in Alabama, take back public spaces and don't allow, say, the fringe elements in our society to control those spaces, especially when kids are involved. So that said, what does your bill do here?
Yes, absolutely. Good point, man. That was actually some of my talking points. So HB 67, it basically prohibits drag shows in front of minors without the parents' consent. I think over the past several years, we've seen this take place throughout our state. I think, it should be against the law, number one, but any parent that would say they would want their kid in front of a drag show with them showing themselves in an explicit manner that's trying to indoctrinate these kids and groom them to make this seem like it's acceptable in the way of our life is completely outrageous. And then the second part of it is it goes back to the space camp issues that we dealt with a while back, but also it covers all the camps throughout the state, and that is that no boys can be involved in girls' rooms or bathrooms or showers. When we drop our kids off to these camps, we, in our heart of hearts as parents, we want to know that they're safe. And now that the transgender stuff is getting a little bit more popular, we need some protection for our kids so a boy dressed like a girl does not go in those facilities.
Hear, hear. And it sounds like, too, the way this is crafted, that there is some play in the joints if, a mistake happens. Maybe somebody does something wrong, but there's room for people to mollify this, like parents bringing it up within 15 days, these sorts of things. So it's more creating a standard, advancing obscenity laws to these public libraries and other public facilities. But it's not like y'all are like want to send your police to be constantly looking for it. It's more, parents going, hey, what the heck was this? And parents now have recourse if something comes up.
Correct, 100%. And a lot of people are like, well, what's the punishment? Well, the punishment is, with the school systems and libraries, they've got their own boards, and then also we've got an attorney general that would be more than happy to assist us with this problem if we need to. Especially with, we've got one of the strongest attorney generals on issues like this, so we don't have to put anything in there. We're policing. They've got their own policemen, and they will be done appropriately if they break the law.
Scott, circling back to the space camp issue, when you and I served together in the House, and I'm sure it's still this way, the legislators all got to send kids to space camp. That was the little perk you got as a legislator. You got to send one boy and one girl to space camp. Did you hear of any legislators saying, I'm not going to send anyone, I'm not going to advertise this, I'm not going to hand out these scholarships to space camp during that whole space camp debacle?
Yes, there was several of them that felt that way. I was also cautious myself, but I think, and we had some parents that did not. They accepted it and they just opt out at the end when it was, because that kind of during that time frame is when the kids started actually going to the camps when all this started busting up. So, absolutely, that did take place.
Do we need to have a definition in Alabama law? And I know this is a Susan DuBose bill, the What is a Woman bill. Do we need to pass the What is a Woman bill so that we can define at space camp, for instance, that a boy shouldn't be in the female's bathroom or vice versa? Like, if we don't have a definition of that in law, like, what would that definition be based on if we don't pass the Susan DuBose bill?
Yeah, well, I'm 100% behind Susan DuBose's bill. She passed it in the House last year, ran out of time in the Senate. She's bringing it back 100%. I think she'll get that to the governor's desk. The space camp actually was a part of her bill last year as an amendment. We decided just to separate the two, but it's birth certificate. It's kind of like the the athletics bill and the bathroom bill I did, it's based off the birth certificate, this, the sex that you're born at, and that's what we go off of. There is something where other states, you can buy identifications as a different sex if you change and all that, which, that's where it gets tricky. But most importantly, this is going to give the Space and Rocket Center something to go off of right now, right? So it'll give them some protection, and they can say, look, this is not going to take place. It's against state law now, and we give them a little bit more authority.
And I know the, Space Camp chairman, I don't know the proper term, president, chairman, whatever. We all know him. It's your neighbor. It's David Asbell. He's chairman of that Space Camp board. David is as conservative as they come.
Absolutely.
And I know David does not want this going on at Space Camp either. And I think, what David needs is some definitions in law so I think he would appreciate the law so he could actually enforce this. But yeah, the problem then becomes, can people, if you base it on birth certificate, can they pay and get their birth certificate changed and say, no, you weren't really born as a man, you were really born as a woman? And that's why I think Susan DuBose's bill might solve that problem, because it defines what is a woman, and I don't think it just says whatever it is on your birth certificate, because some states, they'll just let you lie.
Yeah, and you're right about Asbell. Asbell does a lot of work for my office, and he has been a part of the legislation, kind of making, giving me some pointers and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, they don't want this to take place. And this was like a shock when it took place, and I think all of them were shocked. And they're willing to get after it and resolve it, make sure it doesn't happen in our state. I just think it's sad that, if you go 3 decades ago, and I said this on the Jeff Poor Show, if you go back 3 decades ago and you bring up any of these topics with the drag shows or with, the transgenders in the bathrooms, facilities with girls, are you kidding me? Everybody in the state would be screaming at the top of their lungs. And it's like now, the further we go, it's more accepted. And I think that's where the challenge is for the pastors and for the parents, for them to start standing strong and don't worry about being lashed out. The heck with that. Because if we don't stand strong against this stuff, it's only going to get worse, right?
Yes.
So that's a challenge to the state. They've got to start standing stronger on these issues.
Yeah, and Scott, I'm a very live and let live guy. I've been very much a libertarian my whole life. But when you start, it's when you go after the kids, and maybe I'm being too hostile in my language there, go after. But that for the life of me, that is where I started to wake up to this. Thank God we already passed those laws here in the state when it comes to hormone therapy and surgeries when it comes to transitioning. But in general, as I said earlier, it's time conservatives take back public spaces and don't live in fear of, protecting your own child from things that you just, when all this started coming on the scene, what was your thought? Because I honestly didn't even know where the heck is this coming from. And it's taken a few years to even understand that.
Yeah, so I passed the athletics bill, I think in 20, and I did the bathroom bill following year. And at that time, it wasn't as popular. It wasn't happening as often. And it really just blew my mind, the calls that I was receiving during that legislation, that it is taking place. And these girls are being at a disadvantage in their sports and also in the bathrooms, and you're hearing also this other stuff where they're pretending to be animals and are requiring kitty litter boxes, which is, it's absolutely absurd.
Whole new level of stupid.
Well, I think it's more of, when I was growing up and when kids really wanted attention, I'm going to say they dressed all in black, and I think it's called goth, right? And most of them did that for attention for a certain reason of their life. And I feel like now we're transitioning to our society now where that is if I want attention, I'm going to go that kind of angle. And I think it's not the kid's fault. At the end of the day, I blame the parents. And I think we just got to address the issue. And most importantly, if somebody wants to be a transgender or dress like a woman if they're a man, I don't care. Honestly, that is your American right. But at the end of the day, when you're indoctrinating and grooming kids, that's where I have a problem. I encourage you to be whoever you want to be in life, but the moment that you do it in front of a kid in a sexual, explicit manner, That's where we have a problem.
Scott, you may remember this, but when you were debating your bathroom bill on the floor, the Democrats were coming up and they were saying, this isn't happening anywhere in the state. Can you give us any examples of where this is happening, et cetera? And I came to the microphone and I said, I can.
Yeah.
It's happening in Muscle Shoals High School. In my high school, it's happening. And I know the kid that was a boy pretending to be a girl, and it was happening in my high school. So I appreciated that you brought that bill. Let me pivot to another bill kind of along the same lines. You seem to be the leader on these type bills in Alabama. And I know Garland Gudger worked closely with you on these too. We'll give him some credit. But the Alliance Defending Freedom bill, I know you've been speaking with them about the bill to where about the gender pronoun bill. Can you talk a little bit about that one?
Yes. So I just got kind of the nuts and bolts of that one, working on it, fixing to probably pre-file it next week or the week after. Basically prohibiting teachers using pronouns in the classroom. I don't think that's a place where teachers' focus should not be on pronouns. It should be educating our kids, and that should be their worry, if that kid is learning in that class or not if they're using the proper pronouns to the kids. Started looking into this, hearing different stories from different teachers about, there was one incident where the teacher didn't feel comfortable using a pronoun, so they said, well, how about this? I'm going to call everybody by their last name, right? So that, if you're Jennifer Jackson, I'm going to call you just Jackson. Or if you're Billy Jackson, I'm going to call you just Jackson. So, and that did not make them happy, right? Because that wasn't the point they're trying to get across, seeking that attention. So I think that's very important for the teachers to give them cover, so they can start focusing on teaching and not worrying about pronouns. I mean, that's just unbelievable to me.
A teacher shouldn't have to pretend that a boy is a girl and use their gender preferred pronoun in order to have their job as a public school teacher in Alabama. That is asking way too much of them. Here, lie to this kid about his gender.
Yeah, right.
That's part of your job description. No, it's not.
Well, and also you lose control of the classroom. Yeah. Like if this kid has this weird veto over you, and like you're in limbo, you don't know what to do as a teacher. You're not ready for this. It messes up all sorts of dynamics, and so it seems like we're getting on top of these things. What do you think is the prospect of a lot of this stuff passing this upcoming session, especially as I know people have been working on this for years now?
Yeah, so the left news media is saying that we failed. That I failed twice trying to do this, which is inaccurate. This is the first year I've actually drafted and filed this bill as a sponsor. I'm very optimistic. I'm optimistic with Susan DuBose's bill as well. Arnold Mooney's got a bill about the libraries. I think all this stuff goes through today, this year. I think, back to the teachers, we passed a bill, Andrew, when you're in the House, with sexual orientation, gender identity. It was the Don't Say Gay bill that I passed with Senator Gudger, and you would think that would kind of carry, the stuff we're talking about too, but it doesn't. It's the same shame that we just got to keep doing it. But back to your question, yes, I think all of them passed. Very optimistic about it. I think we've got some issues with our cities that I know we're not going to dive into that with crime. I think that's got to be addressed, unfortunately.
Yes.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting session for sure.
Now, what was, I know it's all about the ideas, but I think politics is more about relationships. What was your personal reaction when you saw that Senator Gudger is now pro Tem Gudger?
Ooh, both are great senators. And with the House and Senate, we always stay out of each other's business, of course.
Fair.
But, of course, I'm close friends with Senator Gudger. We've been friends way before politics. I'm very happy for him. I do think that him and Majority Leader Livingston are going to make a great team. I think Garland's going to he brings a different level of leadership to the Senate, where anybody can talk to him, but he'll also stand firm and do what's right for the Senate and for the state of Alabama. So I'm anxious to see his leadership, front stage. I mean, I think it's going to be great, and I think he's going to do a good job, and I think him and Majority Leader Livingston are going to make a great team.
Now, and before you get out of here, we were talking earlier in the show. In fact, Andrew and I, the last couple of months we've done this, have been talking about Bitcoin with its huge run-up after Trump's victory in November. That was Trump's victory, and also watching the price of Bitcoin go up and rise on hopes of a better environment and a strategic reserve at the federal level made me very happy. I've been looking at this stuff since 2013. Is there any way we can start looking into, say, legislation? I know Pennsylvania's looking into it, Florida's looking into it, having a state-level strategic reserve with Bitcoin. I know there are a lot of potential ways this could be done. It is still a novel idea, but it would be nice if our state can be an early mover on this while our own federal government under Trump and other states and even other nations around the world are looking to do something like this.
Yeah, I think eventually we're going to have to. Of course, Bill Poole, I think I'd love to hear his thoughts on it as well. But I think we're going to have to. If we don't, we'll be left behind. Andrew brought a bill up with this years ago, and I think all of us in the chamber were scratching our heads thinking, what? We couldn't even understand what he was talking about because that's the first time I heard of it at the time. And I think he had a justice at the well because we just didn't even know what he was talking about. But, yeah, I think we have to address it. We have to look into it and definitely make sure that our state's not behind the rest of the country.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I've been looking at this since 2013, and for a long time I've been convinced of the underlying tech, but now seeing the federal government and sort of what was the government going to do, especially the U.S. government going to do, was always the outstanding question for me, and now it looks like we're moving in the right directions.
And there's a lot of crypto legislation we need. And I know that is it Ensler
and Mike Shaw.
Mike Shaw have been working on it in the House, and I like both of those guys. Really, Mike Shaw is brilliant. He knows a lot about crypto. You can get really deep in the weeds talking with him about cryptocurrency legislation. I wrote an op-ed. No, it wasn't an op-ed. I'm sorry. I did an interview with Craig Munger in 1819 News that came out 2 days ago, I think, on 1819 News, talking about the idea of an Alabama strategic Bitcoin reserve, putting Bitcoin on our balance sheet as a state, and what kind of message that would send for economic development with crypto jobs that could come here and everything. We could be the first state in the nation to own Bitcoin. And it's not a crazy idea anymore because Donald Trump is talking about doing it at the federal level and has promised to do it at the federal level. So anyway, I'm excited to hear. As I said, Joe, I think this might be kind of a generational thing. You get some younger leaders in there like Scott Garland who understand crypto, and they're open to it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time today, Scott, and let's do this again soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, guys, and y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Again, that is Majority Leader here in the State House, Scott Stadhagen from Hartselle. I can't say I've ever been to Hartselle. I hadn't been to a lot of places in the state.
And I like Hartselle a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a little south of Decatur, right off the interstate. It's a good place.
So that just makes me very hopeful. Okay, the Majority Leader's like, yeah, we got to look into it.
Well, I like what he said. If we don't, we're going to be left behind. He gets it.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We got to hit another break here. Coming up, you have also an op-ed that you just came out with. I guess this came out, like yesterday?
Yes.
Efforts to automatically restore voting rights to murderers, child predators, and terrorists must be stopped. That's the headline there at 1819news.com. So we'll get into that. I didn't even know this was a thing. It's kind of like some of the other issues talking about. Is this really a thing? Like, we got
House Bill 60. We got to stop House Bill 60. We should ask Stadhagen about that. I'm sure he's already on the right side of this, but we should ask him if we have the chance.
Well, let's hit this break first, though. This part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage, and they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon are ready to help you with getting ready to buy a home. If you're looking to buy in the new year, you should go ahead and get pre-approved. Get to know Kim and Madeline there at Alabama Home Mortgage like today.
Right.
Call them up today. Or maybe you're looking to refinance. I know there have been a lot of folks waiting for the election, waiting for Trump to actually be sworn in. But don't wait till January the 20th to be like, okay, now I'll look into that refi. Start the conversation right now.
Exactly.
You don't have to pull the trigger right now. It's more let Kim and Madeline get to know your goals in refinancing, whether you're looking to get debt off your back, restructure your finances. Maybe you're looking to reinvest in yourself, your property, your family. It's equity you built up in your home, and you can use it as you wish, and they can help guide you there at Alabama Home Mortgage. And if you're a veteran, you need to get in touch with Alabama Home Mortgage. They love helping veterans. They know the latest. They're always hip to the latest there with the VA home loan programs. So y'all call Kim and Madeline at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or you can always apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Start your day a better way with Action 8 News Rising. Get your first look at news happening today, plus your latest forecast and live traffic reports. Don't settle for the same old morning newscast. Watch Action 8 News Rising, weekday morning starting at 4:30. Don't know an iPhone from a flip phone? You need to watch Action 8 News. Consumer technology reporter Jamie Tucker keeps you on top of the latest technology and keeps you safe from scams and identity thieves. Watch What the Tech, only on Action 8 News.
At AMS Studios this holiday season, we are giving the gift of relaxation and renewal of the mind, body, and spirit with a one-size-fits-all option. A gift certificate is perfect for even the hardest to shop for, and we have a menu with services fit for all. For the creature of comfort, we offer massage and pampering facials. For the skin-savvy, medical-grade skincare and treatments, plus so much more. Look at our holiday gift certificate specials on Facebook at AMS Studios and find us Monday through Saturday in downtown Prattville.
Is your business feeling the heat of cyber attacks? Tired of worrying about ransomware, data breaches, downtime, and employee mistakes? GTI Managed IT Solutions has been your trusted partner since 1999, safeguarding and supporting businesses like yours from the ever-evolving threats in the digital world. GTI, your peace of mind is guaranteed. Call us today at 819-4650 or visit gtinow.com.
When you need a new door or window replaced, you want it done right. Someone who delivers expert craftsmanship every time. Experience is a must. Listen, Davis Door and Sash. They can show you new doors and windows that can help you lower your utility bills and boost energy efficiency. Davis Door and Sash, Alabama.com or call 334-288-6010. Davis Door and Sash, the perfect fit for your home.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Mike Costanza with Chappie's Deli.
And Jeff Baranko with Chappie's Deli.
One of the reasons Chappie's Deli has been around for over 32 years is Blue Water Broadcasting.
Yes, it is, and we have the perfect faces for radio.
We sure do. And if you have a perfect face for radio, call Blue Water.
Radio reaches over 90% of everyone in the river region. Shouldn't your ads be out there where your customers are? Call us to find out more. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
Well, hi, everybody. Once again, we are sampling some pretty chilly air for this early in the season. Tonight, mostly clear, cold, overnight low temperature down to about 29. Tomorrow, Thursday, temperature still way below normal with a high temperature up to about 53, plenty of sunshine. Another freeze on Thursday night, and then not quite as cool on Friday with a high around 59, a sun and cloud mix. I think the next risk of showers holds off till Saturday evening, Saturday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Exciting times at Capital Tractor, your hometown Kubota dealer. John Bobo here. Construction is almost complete on our new Montgomery location, but until then, our moving sale continues with great Kubota deals. Don't miss it. Capital Tractor, Montgomery and Brundage.
Immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Now, as promised, op-ed came out yesterday that you wrote, Andrew. Andrew Sorrell, state auditor here for the great state of Alabama in the studio. And I enjoy, by the way, doing this on a regular basis.
This is
great.
fun.
This
Yeah,
is a lot of fun.
let's keep doing this.
Absolutely. So this op-ed is essentially addressing a bill filed by Democrats in Alabama. So what's going on with this?
Well, first of all, just because the bill is filed by Democrats doesn't mean it's not going to move.
Okay.
We saw that with the online internet sales tax. There was a bill to increase it from 8% to 9%. The thing actually started moving. And I was like, why is a Democrat-sponsored tax increase moving in the legislature? Now, I understand there was some secret caucus vote and they decided not to move it and they killed that. But so just because a Democrat introduced the bill doesn't mean that Republicans don't support it or it's, automatically dead. But I'll just start reading it if you don't mind. And feel free, jump in and comment. Either of you jump in.
This is House Bill 60.
It is House Bill 60. If Alabama Democrats have their way, your vote for president, Congress, governor, the Alabama legislature, and other important offices could soon be canceled by a convicted murderer, rapist, child molester, or even a terrorist. Yes.
Wait. Somebody can be charged with terrorism.
Not charged. Convicted.
Convicted and gone to prison for terrorism.
Yes. If you serve, let's say you serve 15 years for terrorism charge and you get out, this bill would automatically restore your voting rights the day you walk out the door.
Nope.
Yeah. That's okay. House Bill 60 has been introduced with 25 co-sponsors and would erase current restrictions and automatically restore voting rights to felons convicted of crimes of moral turpitude upon their release from prison. For decades in Alabama, all convicted felons, regardless of the crimes they committed, had their voting rights permanently stripped unless they formally applied for restoration. In 2003, Governor Bob Riley vetoed a bill that would have automatically restored voting rights for ex-felons. Thank you, Governor Riley. But after protests and demonstrations by Jesse Jackson and other African-American leaders, he compromised and signed legislation that still required a formal application but shortened the approval process to a couple months. But all of that changed in 2006 when the Alabama Supreme Court issued an order stating that only felons convicted of crimes of moral turpitude may be denied their voting rights and cited Amendment 579 of our 1901 Constitution. I looked up Amendment 579 and read it. It's super clear. Alabama Supreme Court got it right in 2006. Crimes of moral turpitude, there was no definition in 2006. So the Constitution of Alabama said crimes of moral turpitude, and then the legislature had to come in and actually define that. So a subsequent law.
So wait, in 1901, it must have been clear to them what a crime of moral turpitude was. And it's so much so that it's like, I'm speculating here, so much so it's like we don't even need to define this. Everybody kind of knows.
It must have been. I don't, to be honest, I don't know, because the moral turpitude list now is like 40 different crimes. So I think it's better to just list them out, honestly, in the law. But no, when the Supreme Court ruled that in 2006, it said you can only not restore voting rights for crimes of moral turpitude. And then the legislature's like, oh, I guess we better go and define that. So here's what they defined it as: murder, rape, kidnapping, sodomy, sexual torture, enticing, soliciting, or committing an unlawful sexual act upon a child, possessing or disseminating child pornography, possessing, attempting to use, or using an explosive, biological, or bacteriological weapon. All right, there's your terrorism. Treason. Yes, you can be convicted for treason. And upon your release from prison, Democrats want you to be able to vote. Incest, drug trafficking, child torture and abuse, elder abuse, and about 24 other equally despicable felonies. Why are we even talking about this?
Yeah. No, like I'm wondering, like, what is that? Is this just, I guess it's like it's the latest in civil rights. I'm trying to steelman what they might say. It would be something like you paid your debt to society and now you need to be fully restored as a citizen.
But no. That's
why, Eddie?
Because when you get convicted of those type of crimes, that's part of the punishment. It's not just jail and it's over. There are things you lose forever.
You know, the funny thing about that is the Democrats would say if you're convicted of, let's say, domestic violence, you should never get your firearm rights back. But you should automatically get your voting rights back. Why? Because they vote for Democrats.
Different narrative. Exactly.
And that's got to be part of the motivation, right? If all ex-felons voted Republican, I don't think the Democrats would be for this. I'm just being honest here.
Right.
Very true.
All right, so these are the people that some believe should be anointed with automatic voting rights the moment their sentence ends. These are the people some believe should choose and elect our state's public officials. These are the people some representatives believe should cancel the votes of moral, law-abiding citizens. I disagree 100%. And then I go on to talk about people being denied their Second Amendment gun rights for the rest of their lives if they're convicted of certain crimes. They should be deprived of their voting rights as well. And at the very least, they should be required to take proactive steps to secure their lost rights. So you can go back before the Board of Pardons and Paroles and try to get your rights reinstituted. There's 3 rights you can apply for. It's like gun rights, voting rights, and there's one other one. I forget. But anyway, Pardons and Paroles handles this process. I actually called Cam Ward this week, the Director of Pardons and Paroles, who I know from when his time as a state senator. And I asked him, how many people do we have applying
Good question.
for their voting rights to be restored? And he said, I'm going to look it up and I'm going to call you back. And he did. He called me back later that day. So far in 2024, 693 people. Now, some of those were moral turpitude. Some of them weren't. He didn't have all the breakdown, but
grand total.
Right. And what he told me was that people are far more concerned. Felons are far more concerned about getting their firearm rights back than they are their voting rights.
100%.
Bubba wants to go hunting.
Right. That's 100%, man.
Bubba may not care if he votes again, but he wants to go hunting.
So, like, if somebody can actively seek it out, that shows, number one, they think they're going to get their rights back. They're probably like, okay, we have a shot here, and you're being proactive, which is as opposed to a blanket, everybody gets those rights back without even having to go through a process.
Well, correct. And here's the thing, though. To get your rights back is not easy. It's a 9-month wait, and you cannot owe restitution. In other words, if you were ordered to pay restitution as part of your sentencing, you have to pay every penny of it back before you can get your rights back, which I think is good. If you owe some family $80,000 in restitution, you shouldn't be out there voting. Like, you haven't, to use the Democrats' own language, you haven't paid your debt to society yet if you still owe restitution. So pay up.
So with this House Bill 60, that's not, and I'm stealing the line you stole, but wait, there's more.
Unfortunately, there is more. This bill gets even worse.
Oh, boy.
Doesn't just restore felon voting rights automatically when they leave jail. In Alabama right now, you can absentee vote for a variety of reasons, but they're all valid reasons. Like, for instance, you're out of the country, you're out of the state on election day, you're out of the county, you're working a shift of 10 hours or more, you're sick in the hospital, you're taking care of a family member. You're like, there's a whole list of them.
Right.
What's not a valid excuse is, I just want to absentee vote. Well, no, you have to have a reason to absentee vote. Absentee voting is where election fraud occurs.
Right.
We know this. We only want people absentee voting that deserve to. So I do absentee vote, okay? Because I'm still registered to vote in Muscle Shoals where I live.
Right.
But I am in Montgomery during the week, and on election days, I'm typically in Montgomery. So I absentee vote because I'm out of my county on election day. That's valid. I'm 3 hours away from my polling precinct. You don't just willy-nilly go absentee vote for no reasons. But this bill would allow any person to vote by mail simply because they choose to, with no reasons or excuses required. How many absentee vote? We are going to have so many absentee vote.
We'll have that
requests.
same debacle we just had a couple years ago.
That's right.
Well, and, in the lead up to the 2024 election, I was looking into polling, and a fascinating thing has happened because I think there has the status quo, and it still is the status quo in federal law, but the status quo of our politics in general has been the outgrowth, the progeny of, let's say, the civil rights movement. And the whole idea is don't be suppressing the vote. We want openness in our elections. Right. Anybody that's eligible should be able to vote, and they should be able to vote easily, was sort of the MO. And it is still enshrined in federal law. Just go ask the current Secretary of State here in Alabama about some of these things.
Yeah.
And I know there are senators, both Tuberville and Britt, have been trying to work on this at the federal level. But it's always was about openness, and don't you dare deny somebody's right because of y'all's history and yada, yada, yada. What's fascinating, though, since especially 2020, it's not just conservatives. It's not just MAGA folks or folks who voted for Trump. It's also independents. So it's your Elon Musk types that have said, well, okay, openness is one thing, and it's not a bad value for election integrity, but we also want election honesty. We want to know, like, okay, is this person who's voting actually a citizen? And part of that honesty, I think, would also be, we don't want somebody who maybe was convicted of a heinous crime voting as well. Like, there's a shift happening culturally that I think makes it ripe for us to revisit. Here's how you secure elections. Here's how you have integrity in elections. Yes, part of that is making sure the votes aren't suppressed, but another part of it is making sure people say who they are when they go and vote.
Well, let's talk about ease of access to voting, because our former Secretary of State, John Merrill, he always used to go around the state and say, we want it to be easy to vote and hard to cheat.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Agree 100%. So how do we make it easy to vote without sacrificing election integrity. Because I also believe in the second half of his statement, which is hard to cheat. So would no excuse absentee voting make it easy to vote? Yes, it would. Would it make it hard to cheat? Absolutely not. It'd make it very easy to cheat. And that's why we can't be for it. So we have to strike an appropriate balance. And yes, we want it to be easy to vote, but we are not discriminating against certain types of people. So we're not going to say that, for instance, white people have to vote this way, African Americans have to vote this way. No, we're all under the same rules. It's just as hard for white people to vote as it is for Asians to go get absentee vote. Like everyone's operating under the same rules. And when it comes to elections, especially federal elections, we have federal guidelines for those elections that we have to follow. We have the UACOVA, the military overseas type voting. We have the Help America Vote Act, Federal Voting Rights Act. We have all these different federal laws that have been passed. And we also have the U.S. Constitution, which in some cases defines the exact day of an election day. You know, the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November every 4 years is a presidential election. There's no wiggle room in that, in my opinion, for early voting.
Right.
There's no wiggle room in that for you mail your ballot and it arrives 10 days later, like they did in Pennsylvania in 2020. Now, there may be wiggle room in UACOVA for the overseas voting. If you stamp your ballot, you postmark it, you have up to 7 days for that ballot to be received, and that's still counted. Makes sense. You're mailing the ballot from overseas. Like, I can kind of get that. But my point is that we have taken election day and turned it into election week and election month.
Election season. It's ridiculous.
And now you don't have to go vote at all. If you're in some states, they're just going to mail ballots out to everybody.
Right. And it makes it ripe for fraud. You've had I think France got rid of that sort of system.
Yep.
Like if you did this system in a developing country, the United States State Department itself would be like, that's probably not a legitimate election.
Right.
And to then turn around in our own country, not allow more securing of elections is just absurd. Some of this, I'd imagine, it can be helped at the state level, like you stop horrid bills like this HB 60. And then part of it's also going to be efforts, I think, for instance, the citizenship question. That is going to require legislation at the federal level. And hopefully that moves very quickly in these first few months, because I think anybody who's a Republican probably is all for, again, it's not like you're getting rid of this idea of you can't suppress people's votes. You do want it to be easy to vote. But let's bring that line hard to cheat to the federal level, or at least you don't need even federal like people doing it. Allow secretaries of state at the state level to do these things and create verification systems. I think it would work much better.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how much trust you have in the U.S. Postal Service. My level of trust is 0 out of 10.
Thank you.
But if somebody said, go mail yourself a $100 bill, would that scare you? Would me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it because I knew I'd be the last time I saw that $100 bill.
Exactly. So if you wouldn't mail yourself a $100 bill, why are you mailing your ballot? Like, do you trust the post office enough to mail your ballot?
Right.
Thankfully, in Alabama now, you can return an absentee ballot by UPS or FedEx. You used to not be able to. We had to pass a special law for that. Used to, if you returned it by FedEx, they had to throw it in the trash can.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they could not count it, and it really angered people. They're like, well,
yeah, it's so secure.
Right, it's more secure than the post office. And here I have an article on Not the Bee talking about how the post office lost $10 billion last year, and the Postmaster General was making $341,000 a year, and he's getting questioned about their horrible handling of mail-in ballots. And you know what the guy does in front of Congress? Puts his hand over his ears and goes, la, la, la.
I saw that. I saw that. And he said, stop. I want everybody in the world to see what he is doing.
That's insane.
Yes, I wish you had that clip. It was so
I just
funny.
couldn't believe it. He did. He stood there like a 3-year-old with his hands over his ears. I don't hear you. I don't hear you. What?
Wow. Well, and this is the caliber of folks we're dealing with in some cases. But I appreciate you bringing this to my attention and writing this up there at 1819news.com. If y'all want the breakdown, want to read it yourself, again, it's State Auditor Andrew Sorrell, efforts to automatically restore voting rights to murderers, child predators, and terrorists must be stopped. It's amazing he has to write those words.
Yeah.
That you had to write these words, but, well, thank you for writing them all the same. We got to hit a break. But first, this part of the program brought to you by Smokehouse Pit Barbecue. And about this time of day, I start to get hungry.
You and me both, brother.
Oh, real hungry. And I'll tell you what, when it's cold, it's getting a little colder. How about some warm, delicious, long smoked barbecue? I think they have 5 old school, like brick pits there. Same location Smokehouse has been all these decades. They're at Main Street in Millbrook. They're back to the original recipes. They got the original recipes from the original owners. And not only is it great barbecue, including it being camp stew season with it being chilly outside. And the camp stew is, a little cornbread, a little camp stew. That's a good lunch. That's a good dinner. That's a good anything. And then Tuesday through Sunday, they serve breakfast.
That's right.
And it's a true destination for breakfast. Those are the best cheese grits I've ever had.
You and me both, brother.
I don't know how much butter, cream, or what they're doing, cheese they're putting in those things.
They're good and thick, though, I can tell you that.
They're so good. All the usual breakfast meats, side bacon, but you could also get like a fried bologna biscuit.
Sure can.
It's really, really good. It's a true breakfast destination. So consider Smokehouse, whether lunch, dinner, or breakfast. Again, same location they've always been, Main Street in Millbrook. And be sure to tell them that Joey and Eddie, those fellas on the radio, sent you.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For years, I've been asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. When you call Alabama Home Mortgage, you will immediately see the difference in pricing. Not only do we offer the most competitive rates, but our closing costs rank among the lowest in the industry. How do we do it? Because we can. We do not have the overhead that big banks and lenders do. Those big banks and lenders have big expenses. And what do? They pass those expenses along to you. Meanwhile, here at Alabama Home Mortgage, we receive wholesale rates which result in big savings that we pass along to you. Don't pay more for less. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our rates and pricing are just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
Make 2024 the year you break away from the chain stores and join us here at Adams Drugs. We value your business and want to provide you the best customer service at the lowest possible price. We've been serving up excellent customer service here in the River region for over 62 years.
I made the swap to Adams Drugs and I couldn't be happier. Having a job and then getting 3 kids to all of their activities keeps me busy. I don't have an hour to waste waiting on a prescription. At Adams, they know me and my family. I get in and out in minutes, and when I can't get by Adams, they'll bring the prescription right to my door.
What are you waiting for? Come in to Adams Drugs and let us earn your business. Our friendly and personal staff will talk with you and answer any questions you may have about your prescriptions. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for the location nearest to you. Adams Drugs is your local independent Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Help solve unsolved crimes by watching Action 8 News. Look for our exclusive I-Team reports as we work with Central Alabama Crime Stoppers to solve murder mysteries and put criminals behind bars. Victims' families are counting on you to watch Action 8 News. Ever miss an Action 8 newscast? Catching up is easy with the free Zeem app. Watch the news live on your phone or see newscasts from the past 3 days. Download Zeem. Search for Zeem in your app store today and stay on top of what's happening from Action 8 News.
Looking to sell or maybe for your dream home or the perfect piece of land? I'm Hannah Grantham.
And I'm Eddie Bader. Together, we're your go-to real estate team at Forest Meadows Homes and Land.
Whether you're buying, selling, or looking to invest, we know the Central Alabama market inside and out.
From cozy homes to sprawling estates, we make finding the right property easy and stress-free.
With us, you're not just a client, you're a partner. We're here for all your real estate needs.
Let us show you that not all agents are the same, and let's make your real estate dreams a reality. Call us today, 334-322-0662.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is #1 in the #2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Oh, somebody, thank you, Chris, sent me the clip you were just talking about, Andrew. This is, I believe, the Postmaster General Louis DeJoy acting like a child.
Awful.
Let's see this.
You were graded by the United States people, and they don't use your service anymore.
You bankrupt.
That is not true.
You bankrupt this through your reputation only. Through your reputation, you are responsible for the fall of the Postal Service and the lack of accountability.
Congress is responsible for the fall of the Postal Service.
Congress
I am trying to fix
on your
the Postal
watch
Service.
with all the AI.
Before my watch, the same stuff happened.
With all the AI, with all the computer systems, you're worse than if I took a horse and picked up the mail and delivered it 2 miles down the road. That's you.
Wow.
There's his on camera.
Yeah.
This is the response. that
Covering
the
your
Republican
ears.
Congress, when he doesn't like what he hears. Literally covered his ears and gave himself the grade of A. And with that, sir, I rest.
I don't know who that congressman is, but I like him. He was good.
Oh, he was.
That's pretty freaking awesome.
Did you hear the postmaster? He said these problems were here long before I got here.
Yeah.
It's not my
I'm
problem.
not doing nothing about 'em.
You're in charge.
It's Congress's fault.
Yep.
It's like, no, you lost $10 billion last year. How do you
Continuously.
do that?
Continuously.
Let's go to Ray Bowles from Bradville Carpet. Hey, Ray.
So I'm standing here with Ron. He's in town, and he was pointing something out. What's wrong with acting like a child? I've been doing it all my life. I don't understand. I was highly confused listening to that. You know, I mean, you'd ask our wives. We act like children all the time. We get together.
Oh, if you really want me to ask her, we could interview her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Melanie,
Bring her in.
You've been right here. Do we act like a bunch of children?
Absolutely.
That's why he had to move to Alaska to get us separated and try to get some work out of me. Hey, and the point of this whole conversation is Ron's back in town, and if you're one of his buddies and he didn't come see you, you're not such a buddy after all.
I truly don't care about anybody but myself.
He usually sneaks in town and says, "Hey, don't tell anybody I'm here." So I try to rat him out on the radio whenever I can.
But I do have a bear that Jeff Hassel killed in the back of my car.
Yeah.
And I got to take it to his house. But I did him a favor, and I took a picture of his bear laid on top of mine just to show him what a real bear should look like.
Got no slack.
Y'all are a
I love
mess, man. Y'all are a
And
mess.
as we were saying, what's wrong with being acting like a child?
Keeps you young, right?
Absolutely. But hey, listen, if y'all need a floor, call us at 285-8117. We'll come out and give you that free measurement. Next thing you know, you got a floor down. Just that simple.
Again, that number 285-8117, and be sure to tell them that you heard Ray and Ron on the radio with Joey and Eddie. And by the way, Ray, we're not no show Friday. The office decided to do a Christmas luncheon, so they gave me the day off to go
Good job. Celebrate. Good job. Well, I will be maybe on the radio tomorrow. Emma's Ruth is graduating college and decided to walk, so we're going to go watch that.
Okay.
Beautiful. Well, I appreciate it as always, Ray. Merry Christmas.
All right, thanks, guys.
See you, brother.
Well, did we learn anything today? I think we learned a few things.
It's a good discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, especially Bitcoin.
Yeah, you excited about that now?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time in my life that I bought at the right time. Literally, like this morning, I was like, oh, I got a couple dollars. I need to do this. Because it was down.
Yeah,
and, until Andrew told me earlier, what is that now? Wow, I made money since this morning. I'm
How
okay
you know
with
you're in
that.
a bull market is the pullbacks are just eating up quick.
Yeah.
Day or two max, and you're back up.
Well, and I think there's a lot of things, for instance, this guy, Michael Saylor, says, and some might be, that's a whole other conversation for another day, what he's doing with MicroStrategy. It's kind of, that trade is crazy.
Infinite money loop.
It's so crazy. But his advice to everyday people is like own a tenth.
Yes.
Own a tenth of a Bitcoin, 0.1.
That's right.
And like, you'll probably be all right 10, 15 years into the future. Like, work up to that. And I think that's pretty sound advice for an individual in a household.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it is. And he's also a good example of dollar cost averaging. He does not care what the price is. He's still buying.
Right. That's what he was saying. They kept going up price. He's like, yeah, I'm still buying. What if this is price? I'm still buying.
Yeah.
We also learned that the drones above New Jersey might be Iranian, and they're meeting up with a mothership. And then
This is why you got to be careful about letting Democrats swap to the Republican Party. That's what you get.
A lot of baggage with that, huh?
Well, Democrats could have had that headline today, but now we own it.
And that word of warning, we got to get out of here. Happy Hour with Greg Budell. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When in Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott.